Good morning, Murder Church. Welcome in here. What's going on, guys? New season. Season 3 of Murder Church is happening. Is my sound working? Let me make sure my fucking sound is on. Yes! Had a weird start Friday. For Friday. Thank you all so much for coming in here. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we are starting a new one today. We just finished last week, Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Today we're going into a fairly recent one. The events happened in 2016. The trial in 2020. Joel Michael Guy Jr., okay, charged with abuse of a corpse ×2, felony murder ×2, and first-degree murder ×2. Again, thanks everyone for coming in here. Really appreciate it. Make sure this chat's working here. I was having some issues the other day also. Please share this out. Hit the like. Really helps us out here as we get started here. Before we jump into the actual trial, there's a couple of things that I wanted to kind of go over to get us prepared. Dizzy from the community, who is absolutely freaking amazing, set up the Discord with insane amounts of information. The legwork that she did is insane. Like, she is worth her weight in gold. Dizzy, you're fucking amazing. But yeah, November 26, 2016, 61-year-old Joel Guy Sr. and 55-year-old Lisa Guy were murdered and dismembered by their son, 28-year-old Joel Michael Guy Jr. This happened in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is not that far from me, honestly. It's about 3 hours from me, 2.5, 3 hours. Guy Jr. stabbed his father 42 times and his mother 31 times. We're going to be getting deep into this. Guy Jr.'s parents were soon to retire. I believe I read that his father had lost his job. They were going to sell the house, and they couldn't basically keep the type of lifestyle that they had been keeping. I think that they had $2 as well. This all happened over Thanksgiving weekend in 2016. After Thanksgiving, this plan was put into fruition by Guy Jr. And yeah, basically his plan was to get $500,000 of life insurance if his parents were either dead or disappeared, which is crazy. Okay, this was his plan. As you can tell, people are absolutely insane. See, I want to go over a couple of different things here today. Let me look in the chat here just real quick, see what's happening. Thank you all so much for coming in here. I appreciate it. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, brother. I was trying to make this feel a little bit different. Yeah, this one is crazy. The details are gruesome. Discretion is advised, per usual on Murder Church, but this one might be particularly gruesome. We did do Jeffrey Dahmer, though. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to show during the actual trial. But one thing I want to get started with here, this is a very early article, November 30th, 2016, that I kind of wanted to show here. And again, the legwork that Dizzy did was fucking nuts. So let me make sure that I'm on here. Yeah, trying to use this green screen. I'm using Dan's green screen right now. And, yeah, hoping that it looks okay. If that chat will work with that white there, but we're going to give her a shot anyway. I'll tell you that. I'll turn that off for a moment. We'll see that in a second. But Baton Rouge man accused of killing, dismembering his parents. I do have yesterday I had so much planned, and then time got away from me, of course. But I did get to do this right here. A little bit of a picture here. This is Joel with his parents. Terrible picture where you can't really clearly see them, but just hovering menacingly, especially as you know what's happened now over top of his parents. I'm sure at the moment there was nothing like that in their heads. And then the charges: abuse of a corpse ×2, felony murder ×2, first-degree murder ×2. Baton Rouge man accused of killing and dismembering parents in gruesome Tennessee slaying. A 28-year-old Baton Rouge man accused of killing and dismembering his parents and trying to dissolve their bodies in an acid solution at their Tennessee home over the Thanksgiving holiday was arrested Tuesday afternoon. And when you get into the details of this story, guys, it's fucking insane. Like, he had a notebook that the police found immediately, because a welfare check ended up happening for his mom, of course. You know, she didn't show up to work the next day. This motherfucker, during the commission of the murders, cut his hands all to pieces, goes to the Walmart, caught on the Walmarts buying peroxide and alcohol and bandages to take care of his hands, then decides, I don't want to take care of these hands here in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's going to be too suspicious. I'm going to drive all the way back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he was going to school, or he had dropped out of school, and where he had an apartment. So goes all the way back, gets his hands checked out there, then drives immediately back to Knoxville, back to Tennessee. To his surprise, the police were already there and had already crime scene the area off, and he's seen that, and he headed back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where of course he was pretty quickly arrested. But when the police went inside of this house, there were body parts all over the place. You could only imagine a gruesome scene, I'm sure. And again, left a notebook explaining in detail his plans to get rid of his parents. We'll get there in just a second. I'm jumping ahead of myself just a little bit. Joel Guy Jr., 28, is being held at the East Baton Rouge Parish prison, as a fugitive from Tennessee, where he's wanted on 2 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of his parents, said Michael Macklin of the Knox County Sheriff's Office. Again, I've been to this area many, many times. Saw a lot of wrestling shows there. I've had friends that lived in this area. Guy Jr. stabbed 55-year-old Lisa Guy and 61-year-old Michael Guy Sr. several times, then dismembered their bodies and tried to dissolve their remains with a homemade acid-based solution. Tennessee deputies found the couple's bodies scattered across multiple rooms in their home outside of Knoxville on Monday afternoon. After his mother's worried coworkers reported she had missed a scheduled meeting, Macklin said inside the home, deputies found a horrific, very gruesome crime scene, as well as signs of a struggle. Baton Rouge man accused of killing and dismembering his parents in Tennessee. They've got some, of course, there's police parked right outside the home, and you can see it's a nice home. Neighbors neither heard nor noticed anything amiss at the house, though deputies found a dog kept upstairs insistently barking. Authorities believe the couple were killed sometime between Friday and midday Saturday. When we entered, it was very obvious what we had, Macklin said. Joel Guy Jr., whom the sheriff's office believes at one point attended LSU before reportedly withdrawing last year, spent Thanksgiving with his three sisters at his parents' home. Macklin said Guy Jr., who was apparently unemployed since dropping out of school, arrived in Tennessee on Wednesday and left the state on his way back to Baton Rouge on Sunday after spending at least a night in the home after dismembering the parents. He placed their bodies in a mixture of drain cleaner, hydrogen peroxide, bleach, sewer line cleaner, and other chemicals. Macklin said investigators suspect Guy Jr. may have tortured his parents before killing them. There are no obvious signs of torture, and the condition of the bodies will make it difficult to determine. Agents from the FBI and the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office placed Guy Jr. under surveillance after the scene and discovered, Macklin said, and arrested him at 3:45 p.m. Tuesday as he walked toward his gray 2006 Hyundai Sonata sedan in the apartment complex of his parking lot. Again, that's a long way to travel right there. Macklin said Guy Jr. has so far refused to speak with authorities and that his motive in the killings remain unclear. But Macklin said the parents, who had been paying, this is where it comes down to, paying many of their son's bills while he lived in Baton Rouge, were in the process of encouraging him to fend for himself and planned on talking to him over the Thanksgiving weekend and cutting off the supports. That's what he was freaking out about. This guy was lazy as hell and didn't want to work, finish school, live life as an adult. His three sisters, all who live in Tennessee and spent Thanksgiving Day together at the parents' home, told detectives that nothing seemed unusual during the holiday. The women said they expected their brother to head back to Louisiana on Friday and were surprised he stuck around through the weekend. Guy Jr.'s parents had just sold their home and were in the process of moving to a grandparents' former house before they were killed. The couple were last seen alive by Guy Jr. as they prepared to move a boat to their new home. Joel Sr.'s sister, Renee Charles, told the Kingsport Times News that the couple were planning on retiring to a small town in the mountainous northeast Tennessee. Relatives said Guy Sr. had also recently been laid off from his engineering job in Knoxville, which again was coming down to the wire of, listen, I ain't going to have the money to take care of you anymore, Joel. So you're going to have to figure this shit out. Look at this. This is what police found inside of this fucking genius's lair after this was already happening. Can I blow that up anymore? Oh, let me save it. I think I can do it on the side over here. But this is the actual list that he made. It was in his black notebook that the police found. Let's see if we can read this here. Let's see if we can make this guy's writing out to actually see what he's saying. I just want to get it on another program here real quick. go. Here we go. Minimize things I touch throughout visit. Wear gloves and socks to prevent fingerprints and footprints. This guy's a genius, guys. Look out. Drop something down the garbage disposal to break it. Get him, that's his dad, on the ground fixing it. Kill him with a knife. That was his fucking plan. Clean up mess from him before she gets home. This is how delusional he is, right? He thinks he's going to be able to slaughter his dad on the floor with a knife, clean up that mess, all of that blood that's going to be coming out, in a timely fashion. Kill her with a knife. Take dog with you. Place her in a shower. Turn on hot water and point it at her to get rid of forensics. Remove her clothes and take them with me for disposal. Place him in a plastic bin and use it to get him into the upstairs bathroom. Cut off... Shit. Didn't do that. Cut off his arm and plant his flesh under her fingernails. Place her hand with his DNA so that his DNA is not washed away by shower. Use sodium hydroxide to destroy his soft tissue and soften bones for transport. Basic once every hour to accelerate. Flush sodium hydroxide down the toilet. Wash out bin with the handheld, not sure, and the direct handheld into the toilet to flush everything out of the pipes and into the public waterway. Double something rooms, kitchen with bleach. Place her something with flammable paper and flammable containers of gasoline in 4 locations: his killing room, her killing room, his bathroom, her bathroom. That's what he's calling the bathrooms, killing rooms. Wipe down areas near killing rooms and bathrooms. Turn heaters up to 90 degrees to melt fingerprints and dry everything. Set her phone to me a text message. Sunday to prove that I was in bedroom and we're still alive. Leave through front door and wipe down doorknobs. Timer for flammables out for Friday at 10 a.m. Sunlight mask fire. What? Not sure. Something work so they can't report it. Yeah, this guy's a fucking genius, as you guys can tell. Good Lord. So there's a lot here. A whole lot, guys. Again, thanks everyone for hanging out. Let me look in here. I've got a lot kind of going on back here. He was framed. This poor guy was framed. Let's see here. What else do I got here? Just real quick before we jump in here. I have some videos here we could watch also a little bit. Just again to kind of just prepare. Let's jump in here on one of those real quick.
Hearing for a man accused of murdering and mutilating his own parents.
You know, this is a gruesome crime. It shocked our community back in November 2016. It happened over the Thanksgiving holiday weekend.
Yeah, Joel Guy, now 30, was arrested in Baton Rouge and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. He has since been held in the Knox County Detention Facility.
New at 4, WATE 6 on your side reporter Bridget Biorlo brings us inside the courtroom as this case finally gets underway.
It's been more than 2 years since Joel Guy allegedly murdered both of his parents, then proceeded to dissolve their bodies in acid. But today, he made his first appearance in court. The man at the center of the brutal double murder of his own parents appearing in court for the very first time.
Who else was staying at the house on Wednesday?
Just my mother.
On Thursday, Thanksgiving
Yes.
Joe Guy is accused of stabbing his mother and father to death, then dismembering them and dissolving their bodies in acid over the 2016 Thanksgiving weekend. In court, Guy took the witness stand at his own hearing, not talking about the crimes themselves, but detailing the aftermath, like the injuries to his hands.
I had some rather severe cuts on the hands. I had a cut on my right palm right here where there's a scar, and I was like a very severe cut on my left palm where there's a scar.
I'm going to show you the cuts that this guy had. He didn't have a pretty bad one on his thumb.
A possible motive, detectives say they believe Guy's parents were planning to cut him off financially, a discussion they were planning on having over Thanksgiving. Evidence shows Guy had taken out money both before and after his parents' murders, $9,200 to prepay his apartment rent and another $100 in spending cash.
Your mother provided you with all financing for your living expenses?
Yes.
Judge Bob McGee will hear a number of motions involving this case over the next couple of days, with his final decisions expected to be made by end of day tomorrow. In Knoxville, Bridget Bjorlo, WATE 6 on your side.
All right, Bridget, thank you. Now the judge will have to decide how.
He's bitching about his hands here. He did cut up his hands. He didn't expect that as either, you know. Wasn't expecting him to fight back, I guess. He thought it was going to be way too easy. Yeah, you can tell he did kind of get on there on his thumb a little bit. Dumb son of a bitch. Judge allows use of some evidence in dismemberment murder case. Other requests pending. They had a lot of legalities going on for many years, all the way up to 2020. Again, this happened right after Thanksgiving in 2016. This was from 2019, citing a bizarre, violent nature of the crimes. A Knox County judge is denying a man's bid to suppress evidence taken from his old bedroom in the home where his parents were killed and dismembered in 2016. There was no ordinary homicide. This was no ordinary homicide scene. Criminal court judge Bob McGee ordered turning down the defense's bid to boot the evidence. This was a double homicide in which two people were butchered and their body parts were in multiple locations throughout the house. Many were in caustic liquids, some simmering, some soaking. And I did see a body cam footage of a police officer that initially got to this home. They block out his parents literally liquefying in fucking plastic containers, thank God. But the home that you can see, okay, his mom's head boiling in a pot on the fucking stove. You don't see that, but you do see the pot. But the scene itself is horrible. McGee's order pertains only to the items such as a backpack with a notebook and a laptop taken from Joel M. Guy's Jr.'s room in the Golden View Lane house where Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy were found murdered. Defense attorneys also are arguing the seizure of the other evidence, including items taken from Joel Guy's Baton Rouge, Louisiana apartment after his arrest the following day. The judge hasn't ruled on that yet. The fight over the evidence has been going over for nearly a year, dating back to December 2018 when a guy took the stand as part of the defense effort to suppress what authorities had gathered in the case. That's what we had just seen there. See, there's this is before he got the gorder in his neck. After a while, he ends up with a fucking gorder in his neck. Let's see. I think we're about ready to rock and roll here. I did find like some other court stuff where they're kind of doing some other motions, getting ready. But I think we're going to go ahead and skip that. Evidence reviewed ahead of the trial for man accused of killing dismembering parents. This was interesting. Joel Guy Jr. asked to be put to death. Let's see what the video. No, I think the video is just some bullshit. I don't think it's like someone talking. A man accused of killing and dismembering his parents again, blah, 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 filed a surprise motion on Tuesday seeking to serve as his own lawyer in an upcoming trial next week. The motion came just 2 days before jury selection was set to begin. But at a hearing Wednesday, Guy confirmed he only wanted to represent himself on one issue. His bid to try to force the state to execute him if he was convicted. He don't want to spend the rest of his life in prison. He done fucked up, okay? Done fucked up. I forgot the bells. There's the bells as I take a sip of coffee. This coffee's going to be hot as fuck. I didn't even get there. I'm scared of it. It's still a little early for the coffee. Got a French press. Random. His defense team had refused to file his motion, which sought to grant permission to Knox County Criminal Court Judge Steve Sword to sentence him to death, even though prosecutors aren't seeking the death penalty. Is that really what you're concerned with? Sword asked Guy Wednesday, so I'll let you handle that. Will that remove your objection to retaining the defense team for trial? Guy responded, absolutely. As you can see, he looks like the fucking penguin from Batman, bro. Authorities, I didn't have to do a lot of work there. Authorities say Guy plotted to kill his parents, Joel Guy Sr., 61, and Lisa Guy, 55, and dismembered their bodies after he learned they planned to quit footing his bills. Joel Guy, execute me if you want. The first sign of trouble between Goldjai Jr. and his defense team came last week when he filed a handwritten motion granting Sword permission to order him executed if he's convicted. Assistant District Attorney General Lisa Nasios, I think I'm saying that correctly, confirmed Wednesday she and fellow prosecutors Hector Sanchez are not planning to seek the death penalty if Guy is convicted, no matter what Guy wants. They're like, nope. Instead, the pair are seeking a punishment of life with the possibility of parole after a mandatory of 51 years. Jesus. Guy conceded Wednesday he could find no legal authority to back his push to waive away the legal requirements for the imposition of the death penalty. Under state law, prosecutors have sole discretion on whether to seek the death penalty, to seek death as a potential punishment, and only a jury can impose it. There's nothing I can do to assist you in having them pursue it, Sword told Guy on Wednesday. You've done all you can to open that door for the state. I can't force them to do it, and neither can you. It's not clear why Guy wants prosecutors to file. It is clear the death penalty. He's maintained his innocence and in the case and is not pursuing an insanity defense. Guy accepted Sword's ruling Wednesday with a nod and then allowed his legal team to resume defending him. Jury selection is set to begin Thursday. The trial will launch on Monday. I think we're ready to fucking rock and roll here, baby. Woo! Yeah, another fucking moron is what we got here, fellas. Ladies and fellas. Again, thanks for hanging about. Appreciate it. I did, man. I got French press up in this motherfucker. Actually, someone got me the French press, which is even cooler. A friend delivered it and got me that as a gift. It heard I'd been talking about it. And I will say, it makes some really tasty fucking coffee. All right, I think we're ready to rock and roll here. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging and banging this morning. And we're going to go. Let me get this right here. Look at this guy. Let's start with the jury instructions. Season 3.
All of our jurors are here and ready to go. I want to explain our protocols and why space in the courtroom is so limited. Due to the COVID virus, the Supreme Court has asked that all local courts follow certain guidelines, including social distancing and masks. That's why everybody has to wear a mask. Once the trial begins with testimony, we're going to move the plexiglass to the witness stand, and I'll put my mask on, and that'll allow the jurors to take their mask off if they're behind here.
Forgot about all this shit.
Here's the thing, folks. I'm trying a double homicide case. I cannot worry about social distancing. So you're all adults. Y'all know who lives in the same households and who's hanging out together. I can't focus on that. I just ask that you honor the Tennessee Supreme Court wishes, which are also my orders now as well, too. And so we're making as much space as we can for the public. There has been some concern about public access and limited space in the courtroom. I think that's being accomplished through media coverage. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about the protocols. Just make sure you're following those. I can't really focus on policing them. All right, gentlemen, you ready to bring our jury in?
Yes.
You ready, Mr. Halstead?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and bring them in. Yeah, tell them to go ahead and remain standing this time. Folks, whenever the jury comes in or out, just go ahead and stand. It'll take us a minute to get them down here. They're at the far end of the hall, socially distanced from our other jury. All right, I'm going to ask the jury to remain standing. Everyone else, you can have a seat. Well, good morning to our jurors. Thank you for being here promptly with us this morning. I appreciate your service once again to our community. Normally, when you come into the courtroom, you can go ahead and immediately take your seat as soon as you get there. But if you recall, when we were selecting the jury last week, I told you If you're selected to be on this jury, you're going to take another oath, and so it's time for you to take that really important oath. So if you would all please now raise your right hands. After you hear the oath, if you agree to it, signify by saying I do.
Do you solemnly swear that you will well and truly try the issues? Joined from the state of Tennessee is the plaintiff, and Joel Michael Guy, charged with first-degree murder, felony murder, and abuse of a corpse, is the defendant, and a true and just verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God.
All right, have a seat, folks. Now, what I'm going to do is have my court officers take their oath. So listen to this oath, and I'm going to tell you what they're doing in just a minute. Officers.
You solemnly swear to take charge of this jury, keep them separate and apart from all persons, not converse with them about the matters on trial, nor permit anyone else to do so, and return them again in open court on orders of the court, so help you God.
All right, folks, those folks that just took the oath, they're your court officers. Their primary job is to keep you folks taken care of, keep you separate and apart from anyone else. That means they can't let anybody talk to you about this case. If you have any cares or concerns during the course of this trial, they are the right people to go to. This is Officer Shaver right here and Officer Coker in uniform. Over here we have Officer Kerr in uniform, and back here's Officer Thompson. Now, they cannot talk to you about this case, but if you have a question like what's for lunch or when are we going back in there, you can certainly talk to them about those issues, and they can answer those questions.
Wasn't it Sword? I just said it. It was in the article that I was reading there. I think it was the same guy, yeah. Stephen Sword, Judge Stephen Sword at Gamby's.
If you have a concern about the case, anything that's going on during the trial, you can relay those to them, but they'll have to bring that to me to address if I can. But they're the folks to go to if you have any concerns whatsoever, all right? Now, what I'm going to do is read to you some preliminary instructions. These instructions are designed to give you an idea of the outline that our trial will follow, as well as an idea of what your job as a juror will be and what my job as the judge will be. So please listen closely as I go through these instructions. It takes me about 10 minutes. The defendant has been charged by the state of Tennessee with a violation of state law. The document containing the charge is referred to as the indictment. The indictment is a formal written accusation against the defendant, but does not create any inference of guilt. The defendant is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of felony first-degree murder, and I'll explain to you the difference in those before you begin deliberations, and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. The elements of each of those offenses will be defined for you in my written jury instructions that you will receive before you begin deliberations in this case. The defendant is presumed innocent and may not be found guilty by you unless, after hearing all the evidence in the case, the attorney's arguments, and instructions of law, the 12 jurors seated in this case unanimously find that the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proof remains with the state throughout the trial of the case. The first step in the trial will be the attorney's opening statements. The state will tell you...
Just real quick, one thing I saw that he was trying to get in, his attorneys were trying to do was, essentially when the police showed up for the wellness check, they went in and started looking around and they found this grotesque, gruesome scene. Junior was basically trying to say, they didn't have any legal right to go in the house. But I think they basically ruled that he didn't have a permanent residence there. He wasn't actually living there, where he lived in Baton Rouge, and being so old, it wasn't like he was staying at that residence technically. So that didn't really go far, but it was an interesting ploy and play.
About the evidence it intends to present, so they have an idea what the state's case is about. This opening statement is not evidence. Its only purpose is to help you to understand what the evidence will be and what the state will attempt to prove. After the state's opening statement, an attorney for the defendant may make an opening statement if they should so choose. They do not have to make an opening statement because the defendant has no burden of proof in this case. If they do make an opening statement, I remind you that statements of attorneys are not evidence. Next will be the state's case in chief, in which the state will present its evidence. The witnesses will be testifying based upon questions asked by the attorneys. The questions asked by the attorneys are not evidence. Only the responses of the attorneys are considered evidence. And of course, that's in the context of the question that was asked. For instance, if the attorney says the shirt was red, wasn't it? And the witness simply says yes, then you may take that to mean the testimony is that the shirt was in fact red. After the state completes its case in chief, The defense will be given an opportunity to present evidence through witnesses and exhibits. A defendant is not required to put on any evidence or to testify. The burden is always on the state to convince you beyond a reasonable doubt the defendant is guilty. If the defense does present proof, the state may then put on what is known as rebuttal proof. And after you hear the state's rebuttal proof, the defense may put on further proof. Once you have heard all the evidence in the case, the parties may present final or closing arguments. Again, closing arguments are not evidence. In closing arguments, the parties will attempt to summarize their cases and help you understand the evidence that was presented and what inferences they wish to draw from that evidence. The final part of the trial occurs when I instruct you on the rules of law that you are to use in reaching your verdict. At that point, I'll excuse the alternate jurors if we still have any left, and the final 12 jurors will leave the courtroom together as a group. You will then begin your deliberations to make a decision in the case. Your deliberations will be secret, and you will not be required to explain your verdict to anyone. So now that I've described the trial itself in outline form, let me explain the function that you and I perform during the trial. I will decide which rules of law apply to the case, and my decision will be reflected in my responses to questions and objections the attorneys raise, as well as in my final written jury instructions. It is your job to determine what the facts are from the evidence. You must then apply the law in my instructions to those facts, and from that
Of course, it's got some kind of weird hissing sound back there. That's not me. That's definitely them.
application, you will arrive at a verdict. The state has a burden of proving the guilt of the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt, and this burden never shifts, but remains on the state throughout the entire case. The defendant is not required to prove his innocence. You as jurors must decide whether the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant has committed the crimes charged in the indictment. You must base that decision only on the evidence in the case and my instructions about the law. An important part of your job will be making judgments about the testimony of the witnesses who testify. You should decide whether you believe what each person says and the importance of his or her testimony. There is no specific set of guidelines on what you should consider in making that decision. I suggest use common sense first and foremost. The court will not provide you with a transcript of the testimony at the end of the trial. Therefore, you must listen very carefully to the testimony of the witnesses. Each of you will be allowed to take notes during the trial for your own use during deliberations. You are not required to take notes. Independent memory can be as accurate as written notes, and that's why I provided you those notebooks and pens. If you want to take notes during the trial, you certainly can. You will have those with you during the deliberations to refresh your memory. If you don't want to, if you just want to focus on what's being said, you certainly can do that as well. Everybody retains things differently, and I'll leave that up to you to know what works best for you. During the course of the trial, you should not talk with any witness, defendant, or attorney involved in this case. Please do not talk to them about any subject whatsoever. You may see them in the hallway, on an elevator, or at some other location. If you do, the best standing rule is not to say anything at all. And that is hard for us in East Tennessee because we are a friendly bunch of folks. And if you see somebody you recognize, you're naturally going to nod, smile, at least say hi. If any of these people see you while this case is going on, they're completely ignore you. If they're walking toward you, they're going to stop and turn and walk away from you. They're certainly not going to say anything to you. They're not even going to make eye contact. Again, please don't be insulted by that. They're not being rude. They're just following my instructions to make sure we keep you folks separate and apart from anyone else throughout this entire process. You also should not discuss this case among yourselves until I instruct you on the law at the end of the case and I allow you to begin deliberations. It's important that you wait till you've heard all the evidence in the case before you begin deliberations. And that's another instruction that is difficult to follow because naturally when you take a break, you're going to want to talk with your fellow jurors about maybe a witness you just heard or something that was displayed in evidence. Please do not do that. Don't say anything at all during breaks or lunch or at any point during this trial until deliberations begin with your fellow jurors. Just keep it all in your mind. Once deliberations start, you'll have an opportunity to talk about everything you saw and heard, but don't say anything at all about what's going on during the trial. And that includes not only among yourselves as jurors, but with you and your family and friends. So when you go home at the end of the day or you call home at lunch or call work, please don't talk to them at all about this trial. I gave you that caution last week several times. I'm going to continue to do that. So just make sure that you're not saying anything. Just keep it all in your mind until deliberations begin. You as jurors must decide this case based solely on the evidence presented within the four walls of this courtroom. This means that during the trial, you must not conduct any independent research on your own or try to gather any information on your own that you think might be helpful. In other words, don't consult any dictionaries, electronic devices, media, or use your phones or anything else in any way to gather information about this case. Everything you need to decide this case will be presented inside this courtroom during the trial, or you already have it in your heads from your own life experiences. So it's very important that when you take a break or during deliberations or at any point during this trial, if you're using your phone, it's not connected to this case whatsoever. I let you keep your phones with you. Some judges don't. Some judges collect every juror's phone when they walk in the courtroom.
Why even risking it?
In the morning. I know you need to stay connected to the rest of your lives outside of this trial. I just want to reiterate to you, don't consult your phones at all. I had a juror one time look up the definition of a word asking Siri a question. That's something we've all become accustomed to. Well, you've gone outside of the information in the trial, and that caused a real problem for us. So don't use your phones in any way to help you during the course of this trial. There will be media reports in the newspapers, radio, and television about this case. I've already given you multiple warnings about that. I'm going to do that one more time, and that is please avoid any media coverage about this case. And I also want to caution you again about social media. Many of us follow reporters on our social media. Some of us even have pop-ups on our phone that gives us notifications. If that is the case for you, I would instruct you to avoid social media during the course of this week. And also local coverage, I would encourage you not to watch the news this week. I know there's a big political debate tomorrow. I would suggest to you, if you want to watch that, then do that through a national news media, just so you don't hear any blurbs or anything at all about this case. So just be extra careful about your media exposure over the next week, or at least until this case is concluded. At times during the trial, an attorney may make an objection to a question that was asked by another witness or by another attorney, or to an answer that a witness has given. This simply means that the attorney is requesting that I make a decision on a particular rule of law. Do not draw any conclusions from the fact that an objection was made or from our ruling on that objection. My rulings only relate to legal determinations that I have to make and should not influence your thinking at all. If I sustain an objection to a question, the witness will not be permitted to answer the question. Do not attempt to guess what the answer might have been.
You know, whatever you think about this judge so far, he's clear and he's concise. And I mean, if I was a juror, this is exactly how I'd want it to be. I really, truly feel like I'd want to have my hand held. I'd want to be knowing every little freaking detail, what to do and what not to do. Like, I would want this, honestly.
Had the witness been permitted to give it. If I sustain an objection to a statement that was made, you must put that statement out of your mind.
That being said, I've had jury calls twice, and
not refer to that statement in your later deliberations. I'll probably say something to the effect of, please disregard the statement of the witness. You may not ask questions to the witnesses. It's the responsibility of the attorneys to present the evidence to you, and you have to base your decision upon that. I may ask a question or two of a witness. If I do, that does not indicate any opinion regarding the facts of this case or any opinion regarding that witness's credibility. Again, those are simply questions that I have to ask. You can consider the answer as proof in the case, but please don't put any undue emphasis on a question that I have asked. It'd be no different than one of the attorneys asking the question. Finally, during the course of trial, I may have to interrupt the proceedings, consult with the attorneys about certain issues of law. If I do, in some cases, we will do that with you remaining in the courtroom. We'll step over to the far side where Officer Thompson is, outside of your hearing. It'll be on the record, but no one else in the courtroom will hear it, where we can have brief discussions about the law. In other cases, I may need to send you out of the courtroom back to the jury holding area, where we take up a matter out of your presence. Again, these are important decisions that I have to make, and sometimes it's pretty quick and easy for me to make up my mind. Other times it will require for me to listen to more lengthy argument from the attorneys, maybe even hear some additional proof. If that were to happen and we end up with a long delay and you're back there in the jury area twiddling your thumbs wondering what's going on, please don't hold that against either side here. If you want to blame somebody for the long delays, just blame me and my poor legal education. I owe it to these parties and the citizens of the state to get these decisions right. And sometimes I need to take a little bit of time to think these things through. So I'd ask you to be patient with me. But again, if you want to blame somebody, just put that on my shoulders. If after your deliberations you find the defendant guilty of any offense, the court will set any appropriate punishment according to law. The jury will not be involved in setting the punishment in any way. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you before I turn this over to the attorneys for opening statements is somebody may have said last week when you came in here, you're going into Judge Sword's courtroom, and that's just sort of shorthand people use. If you're going in Division I, they'll say this is Judge Sword's courtroom. If you're in Division II, they'll say you're in Judge Hickson's courtroom. Or if you're downstairs in Division III, they'll say you're in Judge Green's courtroom. This courtroom does not belong to Judge Sword. This is not my courtroom. I just simply work here. This courtroom belongs to the people of the state of Tennessee. And guess who that is? That's you folks. This is your courtroom. So I want you to feel every bit as comfortable sitting here in this jury room, or in that jury box in the back now, as you would sitting in your own living room. I hope I've impressed upon you how incredibly important service that you're providing to our community. So I want you to know if there's anything that I can do to assist you in the performance of that duty, please don't hesitate to ask. If you're having a hard time hearing me or an attorney or a witness, please raise your hand, especially you folks in the back. Raise your hand, let me know. I will turn the microphones up or ask them to speak up. If you need a break, I will take a break whenever you folks need to. If we took a break 5 minutes ago and you want another break, we will take another break. We'll take as many as you folks want. So please don't hesitate to ask for that. You are in control of that as much as possible. All right. That being
not like a teacher. Can I use the bathroom? No, hold it.
said, we're going to publish the indictment to you. And so, General Sanchez, if you'd please publish the indictment.
State of Tennessee, County of Knox, Criminal Court for Knox County, Tennessee. The grand jurors for the state of Tennessee, upon their oaths, present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on or about the blank day in November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation killed Joel Guy Sr. in violation of TCA 3913-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Second count, and the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on or about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully, intentionally, and with premeditation kill Lisa Guy in violation of TCA 3913-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Third count, the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on or about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully kill Lisa Guy during the perpetration of first-degree murder in violation of TCA 3913-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Fourth count, and the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on or about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully kill Joel Guy Sr. during the perpetration of theft in violation of TCA 3913-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Fifth count, and the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy...
I dropped his mask. Mask down! Mask down! Jesus Christ, shut her down, folks!
24 to wit, on about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully kill Lisa Guy during the perpetration of theft in violation of TCA 3913-202 and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Sixth count, and the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully, knowingly, and without legal privilege, physically mistreat the corpse of Joel Guy Sr. in a manner offensive to the sensibilities of an ordinary person, in violation of TCA 3917-312, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Seventh count, and the grand jurors aforesaid, upon their oaths aforesaid, do further present that Joel Michael Guy, heretofore to wit, on about the blank day of November 2016, in the state and county aforesaid, did unlawfully, knowingly, and without legal privilege, physically mistreat the corpse of Lisa Guy in a manner offensive to the sensibilities of an ordinary person, in violation of TCA 3917-312, and against the peace and dignity of the state of Tennessee. Signed, Sean P. Allen, District Attorney General.
Thank you, Judge Sanchez. Mr. Halstead, how does Mr. Guy plead to these allegations?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Madam Clerk, you're excused. Thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, is the rule sequestration of witnesses requested?
Yes.
All right, if there are any witnesses involved in this case in the courtroom, Mr. McCord, your designated detective, you may remain in the courtroom. Any other witnesses, you must be excused at this point. You may not discuss your testimony with any other witnesses.
Family members or witnesses.
Oh, and family members as well, too. So nobody should talk about any testimony that you hear during the course of this trial. And also, I would instruct you, you cannot watch any live streaming. If there's any live streaming from media on this, those witnesses are prohibited from doing that as well, too. All right, it is time for opening statements. Julian, may I begin your opening statement?
Opening statements. We're going into them here. Give me 1 second. Going about an hour on openings here. Again, thanks everyone for hanging out here this morning. I appreciate the hell out of it. I'm going to give somebody some extra bells, and that's for Viv. Come in here, Viv. I see you hanging and banging. Also got a couple of things to take care of here as well. Dinah Joe 420 coming through. $2 holla. Good morning. Love you all. Welcome in here, and thank you so much. Love you, love you, love you.
This is gun country.
This is gun country. I am not T-Pain coming through with the $5. This is my contribution for the flower. May Pastor Steve's bowl stay forever green? Yes! Yes! Yes!
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
Love it, love it. What we doing, baby? What we doing, huh?
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
This one.
Just chilling.
Just chilling. All right, thank y'all so much. Appreciate the shit out of it. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here, going into the opening statements in this one. This one's fucking nuts, though. And I've got a lot of details back here, again, because of fucking Dizzy. Just on this part of the murders alone. I'll read through those just real quick. Again, attacked and killed his father with a knife in the second floor exercise room while his mother was out shopping for groceries at Walmart. The scene showed evidence of a struggle with torn blinds, blood on the wall and corner, and an overturned Bowflex machine. So he didn't go through with the garbage disposal scenario like he had written down. Lisa Guy, upon arriving home, Lisa Guy entered through the front door, dropped the groceries on the floor in the foyer, proceeded upstairs, was attacked, and then killed with a knife. 9 of her ribs were separated. Dismemberment. Guy Sr.'s hands were removed at the wrist and left nearby on the exercise room floor. Lisa's head was removed. Again, ended up in a boiling pot of water on the stove, carried downstairs, placed in the pot, heated, and at trial, the forensic examiner testified the head was not just severed, but broken off with force. Holy fucking shit. Both victims also had their arms and legs torn apart at the joints. Guy Sr. at the waist and Lisa at the knees. And their limbs and torsos were placed in a bin full of chemicals to dissolve. Each body had a large gash inflicted after death so that the chemicals would more quickly seep into the body's main cavity. And then, of course, he ended up getting some wounds himself, had to go take care of those, and then come back, and the whole plan fell to absolute shit. Let's keep her going. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. Appreciate the fuck out of it. Let's roll.
Thank you very much for your time and attention this week. I want to thank you in advance. We expect to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that on November the 26th of 2016, Joel Michael Guy Sr. was viciously attacked in his home in the exercise room that he had upstairs. During this assault, he sustained 42 sharp force injuries. You're going to hear proof from the medical examiner and from a forensic anthropologist about these injuries. And what you're going to hear is that these injuries were so severe that marks were left on his ribs, 12 of his ribs, marks ranging from scratches to complete severing. The medical examiner is going to tell you that the cause of his death was multiple sharp force injuries that caused damage to his lungs, to his liver, and to his kidneys. He sustained a wound to his scapula, which is where your shoulder is, and it was such a severe wound that a fragment from a blunt force instrument was left in the muscular tissue next to the bone. He sustained abdominal wounds, so he was attacked from the front as well as the back. You're going to hear testimony that most of the stab wounds occurred in the back portion of his body. His hands were severed at the wrists. And you're going to hear evidence that there was a lot of blood staining evidence in this exercise room that indicated that there was a fierce struggle. In one corner of the room, there is blood evidence to show that there was thrashing motion. And it left not only blood marks, but wipe marks and droplets on 2 walls of the room and extensive blood staining on the carpet. You will hear that he sustained defensive injuries on both of his hands, which indicate that he was fighting and he fought for his life. And his hands were sliced. And you're going to see photographs and hear testimony about the nature and the extent of these injuries. After he was murdered,
brutal.
The killer disrobed him, meticulously took off his clothes, his shoes, his pants, his shirt and jacket, left them in a heap on the carpet. He left Joel Sr.'s cigarettes on top of the pile, and they were blood-stained. He left his hands in the room. At some point, Lisa Guy came home, and she too was subjected to a violent assault. And you're going to hear testimony and see proof of her injuries. She was stabbed 31 times, and she sustained serious injuries to her ribs. She had 21 rib injuries. 21. 9 of her ribs were severed. And you will hear a forensic anthropologist talk to you about the variation of the injuries to her ribs, indicating not just slice marks, scratches, severing, but also evidence that the sharp instrument used to stab her twisted into the cartilage of her ribs. She had 1 rib that was fractured from blunt force trauma, not sharp force, but blunt force, indicating that she was...
Imagine being so fucking lazy. Right, Karen? Imagine being so fucking lazy that you would, instead of getting a job and finishing school that was already fucking paid for, your whole life was already on a silver platter because you had well-off parents, you decide, I'm going to off these 2 people that have allowed me to exist currently to the situation that I'm at, allowed to fuck off and dick off for the last 10 years of his life since he'd graduated high school. And his idea and plan is to get rid of these 2 people, unalive them, make them disappear, so he can get $500,000 cash. Someone like this with $500,000 cash, he's just going to blow through that because he has no idea what money's even about anyways. This is crazy. Fucking crazy. Could you imagine? Think about it for a second. You're as mad as you've ever fucking been in your life, right? As mad as you've ever fucking been in your life. I'm going to kill this fucking person. You just get in that moment and then you calm the fuck down. You calm down for a moment. This dude, Guy Jr., decides, you know what? I've got this under control. Thanksgiving weekend, perfect fucking time. Perfect fucking time. Sisters go back. They get back to their houses. I'm going to stick around. I've got this all plotted out and written down. This guy's a fucking moron. Thank God he's a moron. Don't get me wrong, but Jesus Christ.
That there's pressure applied to her ribs.
Crazy.
And you will hear that most of these injuries occurred to her back. She had 1 injury to her clavicle and a stab wound, and she had several stab wounds to her buttock. You will hear testimony that there was evidence in the upper hall at the top of the stairwell from the bottom floor to the top floor that indicates that this is where her murder took place. Blood staining on the walls, drip marks, marks that indicate a spray, perhaps. And like Joel Sr., her clothes were removed from her. They were cut off and left in a bloody pile on top of a large blood stain on the carpet. You will hear that the scissors were found there, along with a knife. You will hear that there were also 2 knives left in the exercise room. So at some point after Joel Sr. and Lisa were murdered, the killer went...
Good fucking point, Salvador Dali talk. Yeah. He's so fucking lazy. He quit halfway through his plan. He didn't even actually start it correctly to begin with. He's like, we'll get this going. And then you remember the beginning of the notes? Wearing gloves, wearing socks, no fingerprints anywhere. I'm sure none of that was happening.
Went to work on their body.
Jesus.
Joel Sr.'s arms, both of them, were severed at the joint, the shoulder blade. Both of his legs were removed at the hip. His right foot was removed at the ankle. And as you know, his hands, of course, also removed at the wrist. Lisa had both of her arms removed from her torso at the shoulder. Both of her legs were cut off below the knee. Her right hand was severed from her arm. And the killer cut off her head. You will hear testimony from a forensic anthropologist who will tell you that her head was basically broken from a part of the spine called the atlas. There was a blunt force trauma applied to her neck before her head was severed from her spine. After the limbs of these people were removed, the killer placed them separately into 2 45-gallon blue Sterlite containers. You will hear testimony and see evidence of where that took place. And you will learn that in the master bedroom of their home, plastic sheeting was placed on the floor, and these blue plastic bins were placed on the sheeting. The killer put Lisa's body parts in one, and he put Joel Sr.'s in the other. And then he covered them with a corrosive substance and left them there to liquefy into some sort of diabolical stew of human remains.
Just that sentence.
And then...
Diabolical stew of human remains. All right? That's a band name. That's a fucking crazy thrash metal band name if I've ever heard.
And the killer took Lisa's head and carried it downstairs and took it into the kitchen. He got out a stock pot, placed her head in the pot,
crazy.
Filled it with liquid,
8 legs.
Carried it over to the stove, covered it, turned on the stove, and left it there to cook. So, you will hear some proof from family members about this family. And you're going to hear this photograph was taken on the Thanksgiving day just before their murders, November the 24th. Photograph is taken by Michelle Dennison, Joel Sr.'s daughter.
When I showed that picture earlier, I didn't realize it was the day before. Holy shit, I figured it was an older photo.
You're going to hear a little bit about this family. You're going to hear that Joel and Lisa were very happily married. They loved each other. They had been married for 31 years. And the defendant was their only child. But Joel Sr. had been married before, years before, and he had 3 daughters, Candace and twins, Michelle and Angela. And you're going to hear from each of them a little bit about their family. And you're going to hear that they communicated regularly, and they had a great relationship with their dad and with Lisa, whom they were very fond of. Lisa had treated them like they were her own. You're going to hear a little bit about the dynamics of this family, and you're going to hear that on Thanksgiving, Joel and Lisa had arranged to have a family get-together, and Michelle and her boyfriend and her 3 young sons, who are depicted in this photograph, came to spend the day, all that Thursday, came to spend the day with Lisa and Joel. Angela and Candace weren't able to come, so it was just these people, along with the defendant, who came up from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he lived. He drove up the day before, November the 23rd. You're going to hear that this was going to be, and I'm not being smart aleck, when I say it was going to be their last Thanksgiving in this home that they had on Golden View Lane in Knox County, because they were...
That's a 9-hour and 9-minute trip from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Knoxville, Tennessee, guys. So he left his parents in the house that he left it in without doing any of the cleanup that he planned because his hands were so fucked up. He had to go and get some bandages at the local Walmart, but then decided, hey, I'm going to go all the way back to Baton Rouge to get this actually cleaned, fixed, right? I don't want to be this close maybe to the situation and have this, I don't know, whatever his mind was doing to make that right. He drove, I mean, that's fucking... And then comes back after. He comes right back after. I think it was the next day, as you can imagine, 9 fucking hours. I mean, it takes half a day to get there. That's a crazy trip, man. And then when he got back and sees the police, he starts heading back again. Like,
we're moving. Joel and Lisa had plans. Joel had worked as a contractor. He designed piping systems. Lisa had a job with Jacobs Engineering. She was a disbursement specialist. And they were done with work. Lisa had turned in her notice. Joel's contract was concluded, and they had decided to retire for a while. And they were moving. Their house was for sale. They had a contract on it. And Joel was going to buy his family home in Surgoinsville, Tennessee, in Upper East Tennessee, near Kingsport. And he had made arrangements with his sister, Robin White, to purchase the home. And this was going to be the last.
When I went down to get my leg checked out in Bristol, Tennessee, the beginning of the year, that's like 2 hours from me. So I'd have been about an hour from this area at that time. Like, I've been down there in a while, like numerous times.
Thanksgiving that the family was going to spend in Knoxville. Their next holiday plans were going to be for Christmas in Surgoinsville. They were ready, to move on and to enjoy what was left of their lives. So, I want to give you an idea of kind of a timeline for where we are this weekend. And you're going to see that the defendant came to Knoxville from Baton Rouge on November the 23rd. The family get-together was on Thanksgiving the 24th. You will hear proof that on November the 25th, Joel and Lisa and the defendant drove up to Surgoinsville to deliver a boat that Joel Sr. had, and he wanted to take it to the Surgoinsville house. You will see and hear evidence that Lisa was alive on November the 26th. sometime after noon. We know that because of evidence we have from a shopping trip that she made in Knoxville. And we know that the defendant was in Knoxville on November the 26th, also because of evidence we have from a receipt where he went shopping at a store, a Walmart store, and was seen there around 3:35. The evidence will show that Joel and Lisa were murdered on Saturday, November the 26th. You will hear proof that the defendant left Knoxville at some point on November the 27th, and you will hear proof that the guys' bodies were found on Monday, November the 28th. So, how did that happen? Jennifer Whitehead is a supervisor at Jacob Engineering. She worked with Lisa. They were work friends. They had a good relationship. And she's going to tell you that the week after Thanksgiving was going to be Lisa's last week of work. She was due to, I'm sorry I keep doing this, but I cannot. I'm having a hard time.
The word we was in there, lady.
Speaking. She was going to have her last day on Friday of that week, and she didn't show up for work on Monday. Now, this was very unusual. Jennifer's going to tell you that Lisa was quite dependable, and Jennifer was worried about why she didn't show up and why she didn't call, why she didn't text. She became concerned because she started to call her. Some women at work had planned to take Lisa out for lunch that day, kind of a going away luncheon. And this was highly unusual behavior. So Jennifer calls and texts multiple times and with no response. And she became so concerned and had such a weird feeling about it that she called 911 and asked them to send officers out to perform what we call a welfare check. And you're going to hear evidence that an officer, Stephen Ballard, did go by the house on Golden View Lane in Knox County, and he went to check things out. He will tell you that, he saw cars in the driveway, really didn't see any signs of disturbance. He didn't look that closely, knocked on the door, I think, nobody answered, and then he left. But Jennifer wasn't satisfied, and she persisted, and she asked the sheriff's department, because this was in the county, to check again. So Detective Jeremy McCord made a trip over there, and he made a number of observations while he was there. He too noted that there were 3 vehicles in the driveway, 2 cars and a truck. He noted the for sale sign in the front yard, and he thought that was kind of significant because he had been looking at houses himself, and he noticed on the front door that there wasn't a realtor lockbox. Typically, that can happen when that will be present when a house is for sale. He went to the front door and knocked and didn't receive an answer. He knocked hard, identified himself as a member of the sheriff's department, wanted to let whoever was inside know that he was there to check on their welfare. And when he was at the front door, if you will notice these, he was able to look in and see through the windows that there were groceries that were scattered in the floor of the foyer area. And that concerned him. There were a number of bags left in the floor. So no one responded to the knocks, and he decided to go around back. And when he went around back, he observed that the doorknob from the back door was missing. It's completely gone.
So weird.
And he thought, well, that's strange, because the doorknob on the front door had looked sort of weird to him. It didn't look like it fit properly in the front door. There were scratch marks around it. And so he made the conclusion that for some reason, the doorknob from the back door had been removed and placed on the front door. And he just felt like something was wrong. He heard a dog barking inside. And he just kind of became alarmed, and he felt like there was a need for officers to go inside. He even called the realtor to try to figure out, what was going on. Those were their cars. The realtor suggested maybe looking inside one of the cars to see if there was a garage door opener that could open the garage door so he could get in. And he made the decision to go in. In law enforcement, this is kind of called exigent circumstances, and it means that there is a fear of an emergency situation that requires police to enter into a residence. And we'll hear from Detective McCord, it's not that unusual. Law enforcement officers all over the country every day respond to welfare check requests. And they find injured people, they find people who are sick, and sometimes they find people who are deceased. And so he was worried and decided that, he needed to check on their welfare, and so he went in. And when he did so, immediately upon opening the garage door, he felt more of what he had felt when he was at the back door. When he was at the back door and looked through the hole that was left from the doorknob, he had felt heat and had detected kind of an odor that concerned him. But when he opened the garage door, there was a blast of heat and an overpowering smell, something strange, something that he had not smelled before. And so, being alarmed at the unusual nature of this situation, he decided to go in with some trepidation. He was careful. And the way law enforcement officers go into a house under these circumstances, because there may be danger there, who knows what they might encounter, they go from room to room. They announce themselves as law enforcement officers, and they move through the house in what is called a clear. They're clearing it. And he will tell you that they entered through the garage into the kitchen area, and he's going to describe for you the things that he found inside the house that were very unusual to him. I mean, other than the heat, which he will tell you was, when they looked at the thermostat, the temperatures were in the high 90s, okay? I'm not talking about a warm house, I'm talking about a hot house. And I'm talking about an odor that caused officers to have physical reactions to. In the kitchen of the house, he saw things scattered on the floor, and he noticed towels and bottles of bleach and a bottle of muriatic acid and garbage bags. He noticed that the stove was operating and there was a pot on it. He noticed that the oven was on. He noticed that there was a cell phone on the counter, and on the kitchen table there were 2 wallets that were out, that one looked like it belonged to a female. There was a picture, an ID of a woman on it. The other was brown, looked more masculine. A ball-peen hammer and a vice grip, a lady's purse on the table. It looked unusual to him. He kept announcing law enforcement. And he moved through the house. He went into the dining room, and there he saw weapons on the dining room table, boxes of ammunition in the floor. There were tools also on the dining room table, a screwdriver and what appeared to be a lock set, another doorknob lock set. In the foyer, there were multiple bags from a Walmart that had groceries inside them, including perishables, things like ice cream, bacon, and sausage, the sort of things that one would...
Couldn't imagine being a police officer and walking in on something like this. Like, that would fuck you up forever, I would feel like.
You would expect that you would put away...
I don't think no amount of therapy is gonna... I mean, maybe. I don't know, but Jesus, dude.
Refrigerator as soon as you came home. Some boxes of beer. And as he went through the house in the downstairs, he just became more and more anxious. There was a little study area, a den. The den contained the door that had the missing doorknob. There was animal waste, feces on the carpet, and urine stains. There was a heater that was plugged in and was operating at full blast. And again, he noticed the thermostat set so high. He goes through the downstairs, and as he did so, he starts to feel fear. And he'll tell you, he's not ashamed to tell you, it was scary. He began to go up the stairwell,
in a literal horror movie.
And as he was going up the stairs, he noticed that there were blood drip marks on the walls, and there was blood on the carpet. And at this point, he will tell you he knew that something terrible was wrong. And at the top of the stairs, he sees this pile of clothing, this pile of bloody clothing and bloody scissors and a bloody knife and a big blood pool. And he looks down the hall and he sees a pair of severed hands on the carpet in a room down the hall. And it freaked him out. His fear turned to horror as he continued to go through the upstairs, clearing, the dogs barking on and off. He goes into the master bedroom, and he sees in the floor a weird assorted jumble of articles that don't even appear to be used. There's a bag of clothes, there is a work light, there's a sledgehammer, there's a portable heater that you can clamp on. It clamps on to a surface. There's a face mask that looks sort of like what one would use to do painting, a more protective mask than the one that I'm wearing. There's a blender and a box of latex gloves, a black garbage bag. A roll of plastic sheeting is on the bed, which is made. Well, it was made and tidy. And Beanie Babies, pile of Beanie Babies on the carpet next to all of this. And other articles. I'm not sure that I'm remembering all of them. Bottles of food-grade hydrogen peroxide, like jugs, big jugs. A jug of liquid fire, which is a drain opener. Back in the hall, next to Lisa's clothing, there were 3 empty big gallon, 5-gallon, I'm not sure how many gallon tubs of something called sewer line cleaner number 2, and an empty bottle of Robic drain opening solution. That was in the hall. So back to the master bedroom. All of these weird, unusual products are here. And the master bath door is open. And of course, he can see what I described to you just a few minutes ago. And it's something he will tell you that he never expected to see. And he can't unsee it. The floor of the master bath coated in plastic, the same plastic sheeting cut from the sheeting that was left on the bed. A garden hose connected to the shower head, a heater running full blast, a knife in the sink, and the remains of what appeared to be human beings. At the time, Detective McCord will tell you he didn't know how many, who they were. He didn't know what he was dealing with. And they continued to clear the house. And in nearly every room in the house, they find evidence. I think there was one room that was used for storage that there was packing. You could tell that the homeowners were packing, things were boxed up. I don't think they recovered anything out of that room, but there's a guest bedroom that they went into. And in that room, on the bed, the unmade bed, there was a laptop computer that was plugged in, a used latex glove on the carpet, There was a backpack in a corner. There was a bloody jug of the same food-grade hydrogen peroxide on the dresser, along with a box of latex gloves, some credit cards that appeared to be issued to Joel Sr. Other articles, blood staining on the carpet and a blood stain on the sheet, I think. There's a bathroom upstairs in the hall, sort of a guest bathroom. But I forgot something important in the guest bedroom. There were two blue tote lids that corresponded with the blue plastic bins that were in the master bathroom. Two lids for these were found. One propped up next to a suitcase that had some rumpled clothing in it, and also one under the bed. So the tote lids that corresponded to the tubs in the master bath were in the guest bedroom, along with a note that was in the suitcase that mentioned a store, had the address of a business in Louisiana. I love this name, Dan Boudreaux's Ace Hardware in Napoleonville, Louisiana. So that note was in the suitcase in the guest bedroom. So they move on to the guest bath, and it's a mess. There are blood stains everywhere, on the door, on the floor, on the sink and the counter. There's a pile of clothes, like some shorts and a t-shirt and underwear that have some blood staining on them in the floor. Used latex gloves scattered on the countertop, a knife on the counter, bottles of rubbing alcohol, a couple of bottles of those, a couple of bottles of hydrogen peroxide, some medical tape. Looked like someone had treated an injury there. Okay, just blood staining everywhere, and some other first aid supplies. And also on the counter, there's a Walmart bag that contains a receipt, and that receipt depicts the products that were found in the room, and that receipt depicted a date, November the 26th, 2016, and it depicted a time, 15:35:25, 3:35 p.m. And as if all of those discoveries weren't bad enough, go back downstairs after they've gotten rid of the dog that was locked up in a laundry room in a stifling heat. They get someone to take care of the animal, to get it out of the house and to be treated. Animal Rescue, the Humane Society. He was animal control, I guess is what it's called. But they go back down to the kitchen, and they open the lid on the pot on the stove, and they discover a human head. And they will later learn that that's Lisa Guy's head cooking.
Can you imagine opening that and figuring it out? Wait, is this on? What the fuck's in here? And then boom! No.
Still simmering. The stove was still on.
Bro.
So
he went back to Louisiana with the stove on and his mom's head cooking on it. For fuck's sake.
Detective McCord and the other officers there, they realize this is a monstrous crime, okay? They're feeling some sense of urgency now to figure out who did this. And they have to take steps to figure out how in the...
Yeah, he would have been the fucking guy in his room. I don't know how they got off to college, honestly. Probably by bribing him some way. He would have been the guy in his room with the floor sticky, fucking soda cans piled up right next to his computer that had been there for months, ants crawling all in it. An absolute slob piece of shit. I guarantee his apartment in Baton Rouge looked like crap, smelled like crap.
World, what are we going to do? How are we going to solve this? So they do what investigators do, and they interview people. They do a neighborhood canvass. They talk to people in the neighborhood to try to figure out when the guys were last seen, who may have been at the house. They notify next of kin. They discover from Michelle Dennison that she was just there, that she was there on Thanksgiving, that her half-brother, Joel Jr., Joel Michael, they call him, was there. He gets a description of vehicles. He gets he gets on that receipt from Walmart. And when he goes to Walmart to check this out, he's able to talk to someone there who is kind enough to cooperate, and they give him video. They maintain security footage at the stores because of shoplifters and
click more link in the chat there
for business purposes. And so Detective McCord is able to that very day, the 28th, get a video image and a still shot of the person who made that purchase. And he is able to have that person who's depicted in that image identified as Joel and Lisa's only son, Joel Michael Guy, the defendant. And they get an arrest warrant based upon this information and other information. One of the things that greatly concerned them is that in this image that they saw at Walmart, the defendant is, his hand is bandaged, okay? And he's buying medical supplies. And he's not there, and they've received information that he has gone back to Louisiana, back to Baton Rouge on November the 27th. And so based upon that and other evidence, they get an arrest warrant, and they enlist the assistance of law enforcement officers from the Louisiana State Police, the FBI, and the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. And all of these agencies work together, and the defendant is arrested, I believe, on November the 29th of 2016. And you will hear testimony from people who saw him there, who will tell you that his hands were sliced. He had a couple of cut marks on his hands. So you will hear that all of the evidence in this case we submit to you points to the defendant as the killer of his parents. And one of the things that we consider in this calculation is, the times of death. The medical examiner and Dr. Marks, the forensic anthropologist, can't tell you how long Joel and Lisa were in those, how long their body parts were liquefying in those tubs. They can't make that determination. But we do know certain things. We know from receipts found in Lisa's belongings where she was on November the 26th, and that she was alive at some point. And we know that from a receipt found in her purse at the scene that she was at this Walmart in Turkey Creek at 12:18 in the afternoon, making the purchases of the items that were found in the foyer. Okay? The receipt, they were able to match up the items listed on the receipt with things that were in the foyer floor. We know that before that, she had gone to PetSmart in Turkey Creek in the same little shopping center to get, to get dog food for her dog. And this is a map, an aerial map. You'll see right up there in that corner. That's Golden View Lane, that little red circle. That's how close they live to. This is the Turkey Creek Shopping Center. There is here's the PetSmart, and here is the Walmart. So as you can see, she's she's not that far from the shopping center. She didn't live that far. And I don't know what the traffic was like on that date, but we can assume that at some point she made it home.
Take that long.
And we know she made it home because her car was found in the driveway, and the groceries were in the foyer, and you will hear from her daughters that that's not usually how Lisa got into the house. Usually she would come through the garage that they sort of used as a sitting room. They were smokers, so they smoked in their garage. And her typical way of getting into the house would be through the garage door and into the kitchen. That's sort of the logical way most of us carry our groceries in. It's closest to the area where we're going to put them away. But she didn't use the garage entry that day. So we know she got home. We know that her purse was found in the kitchen, her keys, her cell phone was on the kitchen counter. She made it home. So we believe the state will prove that she was murdered between that time that it took her to get home, maybe 12:30 p.m. on the 26th, and before 3:35 p.m.
I think the dog was okay, Jessica. I'm pretty sure the dog was good, if I remember correctly. I think the police found it alive in a room locked up. What happened after, I don't know, which sucks.
This state will prove to you that the defendant was already hurt by 3:35. This is the Walmart receipt, and you will see that it shows November the 26th, 15:35:25, and here he is, leaving the store, and you will note this bandage on his hand.
Right after. Look at this fucking guy. Just scrolling. Hold on. You can't even see it because of Murder Church. Hold on. Look at this fucking guy. Just get to the house. You can see the bandage on his thumb that he almost fucking cut off there. Right there. And then it looks like his first finger's also bandaged up. This looks like every southern, at least in my area, Walmart. Always a little subway off to the side as soon as you come in. I've probably been in this Walmart, quite frankly. Like, I used to venture down that way for wrestling shows. I've had friends that live down that way. Wow. Fuck this guy, though. What the hell?
Here's a close-up of him getting the self-checkout, getting his medical supplies for his wounds. So now we know he went back to the house, right? We know he went back to the house because the things that he purchased at Walmart around 3:35 are on the bathroom counter. And I want you to look at these. So here's the receipt again. And here's the bag that the receipt was in. Here's a knife.
Look at that fucking knife. Oh my God, dude. I mean, that's Idaho 4 style knife right there. I mean, that is a fucking K-bar knife, dude. I'm pretty sure.
DNA's on part.
Which would be absolutely brutal to stab someone with and rip and shred someone apart.
That knife. Here's some hydrogen peroxide. There's some bandages that were recovered. There's some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, this Dermaplast, something like that, some kind of first aid spray. And then all of these gloves. This is Joel Sr.'s cell phone. You'll hear from Kim Loeb, special agent with the TBI, that the defendant's DNA was found on 6 of those gloves, inside and out. So, Joel and Lisa Guy were dead by 3:35 p.m. And we believe the proof will show that after the defendant tended his injuries, He went to work on their bodies and did what he did to them. The forensic anthropologist has a nice name for what he did. It's called disarticulation. That's an elegant name for cutting off their arms and legs and Lisa's head.
That's the disjointing, I'm pretty sure. Like I think I saw some people in chat there talking about it. I don't think that's an easy thing to do necessarily. And to rip someone's head off, not cut their head off, which is already hard. Ripping their head off from the fucking bone. I'm just out here talking out of my ass right now. I'm imagining he cut through the flesh and the tendons and the muscle and then broke it at the bone. But dear Lord.
So, we will prove to you that the defendant had a plan to do this, that this was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. He had a plan, and that is known as premeditation sometimes. Planned in advance. He premeditated. He made, after the exercise of reflection and judgment, made the decision to murder his parents. So, in the guest bedroom, where you will hear Michelle Dennison will tell you that that's where the defendant was staying on Thanksgiving, you're going to see that there's a backpack found in the corner of the room. And it was taken into evidence and later inventoried per the policy of the sheriff's office. That's what they have to do when they seize evidence, something like that. They inventory the contents of it. And here it is. And they opened it, of course, and they found instruction manual for residential hot water heater. And they found some books, and they found a notebook.
The notebook.
And in the notebook.
So we read all this morning. If anybody goes back, I'm pretty sure. I didn't see this side. What did it say? Get knives. Quiet, multiple. Get sledgehammer, crush bones. Bring blender. And grinder, grind meat. I believe that they found flesh down the drain, like in the sinks, like he was trying to get and flushed it, I believe. Get bleach. Get plastic bin for something process. Does not matter when they're killed. Just get rid of bloody spots to prevent evidence of time of death. Get rid of bodies inside house. There and my DNA already there. Flush chunks down toilet. I think that did happen. Not for garbage disposal. Get plastic sheeting for disposal process. He called the bathrooms kill rooms in the writings. Be seen buying blankets, maybe? I'm not sure. Just via computer. Not sure. Check to make sure there are he's not alive to calm or get off the insurance. Money all mine, $500,000. Flood the house. He wanted to flood the house. Turn heater up as high as it goes. Speeds decomposition. Bleach reacts with luminol just like blood. Douse area with bleach. These are things he's buying here. Lye. Trash compactor. Body gives time of death. Alibi. Don't have to get rid of body if there is no forensic evidence on the body. His fingerprints and DNA.
There was a writing, and I want to go through it with you a little bit because it's kind of hard to see like this.
Insane.
But we'll start from the first line. Get killing knives. Quiet. Multiple. Get carving knives to make small pieces. Get sledgehammer. Crush bones. And of course, there were multiple knives found at the scene. You will hear there was a knife in the guest bathroom, a knife in the sink in the master bathroom. There were 2 knives next to the pile of bloody clothes that belonged to Joel Guy in the exercise room, and then there was a bloody knife next to Lisa Guy's cut-up clothing. There is no evidence that he used the knives to make small pieces other than the hands and head, or that he used the sledgehammer to crush bones. You will not hear evidence of that.
That'd have been way too
Green
much work.
blender and food grinder, grind meat. Well, we will not show you that he did grind any meat, but we will show you that he brought a blender and that in his vehicle that was searched after his arrest in Baton Rouge, he did have a food processor in the trunk. Get bleach, denature proteins. Well, there was bleach, several tubs of bleach in the kitchen. Get plastic bin for denaturation process.
Denaturation.
And I guess that's, that means for dissolving your parents. Does not matter where they're killed. Just get rid of bloody spots to prevent evidence of time of death. Not the mattress or couches. Get rid of bodies inside the house, there and my DNA already there. Because of course he had been visiting, so his DNA would be in the house necessarily. I guess that's what that means. He needs to be, I can't read that word, not intruder. Flush chunks down toilet, not garbage disposal. No evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that he did that. But the next line, get plastic sheeting for disposal process. There is evidence that there was plastic sheeting at the scene on the bed where Joel and Lisa Guy slept. Get hollow point bullets just in case. Will be seen buying bullets. Just use computer room gun. Check to make sure there are bullets, last resort. There were no gunshot wounds to the victims. He's not alive to claim her half of the insurance money, all mine, $500,000. You will hear evidence through Jennifer Whitehead and through documents from Jacob Engineering that Lisa Guy did have an insurance policy. She was going to be employed until the following Friday after Thanksgiving. And you will see that he was a beneficiary, in fact, to this life insurance policy. Flood the house. Covers up forensic evidence. No evidence that he flooded the house. Turn heater up as high as it goes. Speeds decomposition. Again, thermostats were in the 90s, both upstairs and downstairs. Bleach reacts with luminol, just like blood. Douse area with bleach. Big sprayer. There was a big sprayer in a box on the kitchen floor. I don't know that it had been opened, and I can't tell you that the state will prove that there was evidence that he doused the area with bleach. But there was lye, and he mentioned, it says trash compactor, ? The next line is body gives time of death, alibi. Don't have to get rid of body if there's no forensic evidence on the body. His fingerprints and DNA. And that brings us to the severed hands. The severed hands. We believe the state will prove to you that the hands were severed for a purpose, okay? For a purpose. There's a reason behind it. Minimize, and we're on to the second page of the notebook. Minimize things I touch throughout the visit. Wear gloves and socks to prevent fingerprints and footprints. And as I said, you will see photographic evidence that there were gloves, latex gloves, found throughout the house, boxes of them, in his bedroom, in the bedroom that he was using in the house, in the master bedroom, in the kitchen. in the guest bath. Drop something down the garbage disposal to break it. Get him on the ground, fixing it. Kill him with the knife. Clean up mess from him before she gets home. Kill her with knife. Kill the dog after. Then that's marked out, and above it, leave him alive.
Oh.
Fingerprints.
I thought I read that wrong a second ago, but then I was like, are you kidding me? A chair! Fuck this guy! But still fuck this guy, but Jesus. And then he changes his mind. No, we're not gonna kill the dog.
Take dog with you.
What's he gonna, he probably was gonna kill, what's he gonna do to that dog? My, oh.
I don't know what this says. The first word I don't understand.
Something him with him? I don't know what that is.
Him with him is all I can read. The next line is place her in shower,
Weirdo,
turn
bro.
on hot water, and point at her to get rid of forensics. Remove her clothes and take them with me for disposal. And you know her clothes were removed. Place him in plastic bin and use it to get him into the upstairs bathroom. Well, Mr. Guy's remains were certainly found in a plastic bin in the upstairs bathroom. Cut off his arm and plant his flesh under her fingernails. And I will remind you that Lisa Guy's right hand was severed from her arm. Place her hand with his DNA so that his DNA is not washed away by shower. Use sodium hydroxide. You'll hear evidence that the sewer line cleaner and other products, that's sodium hydroxide. Use sodium hydroxide to destroy his soft tissue and his softened bones for transport.
It's crazy.
Baste once every hour to accelerate. Flush sodium hydroxide down the toilet. Wash out bin with handheld shower head and then direct handheld into toilet to flush everything out of the pipes and into the public waterway. Douse killing rooms, kitchen, ? With bleach. Place hair curler with flammable paper and flammable containers of gasoline in 4 locations. His killing room, her killing room, his bathroom, her bathroom. Wipe down areas near killing rooms and bathrooms. Turn heaters up to 90 degrees to melt fingerprints and dry everything. Set her phone to send me a text message late Sunday to prove that I was in Baton Rouge and she was, in quotation marks, alive. Leave through front door and wipe down doorknobs. Timer for flammables set for Friday at 10 a.m. Sunlight masks fire but not smoke. Everyone at work, so they can't report it. This is an enlargement of what is on this page. Ultraviolet light shows fingerprints. Check mail before leaving. To get rid of blood, use peroxide, hemoglobin, and bleach, DNA. Destruction of bodies. Composition of body, 20% fat, 20% protein, 55% water, and 5% other components. Assets. These pages will show you that the defendant analyzed the financial assets of his parents. Her assets, her life insurance, $500,000, possibly more with double indemnity. With him missing, dead, I get the whole thing. All her other assets are joint. Go to him if missing, unknown if he's dead. His assets includes all joint property if missing. When he gets all joint property, also gets joint debt. Knoxville house, homeowner's insurance, possibly, but probably worthless after the fire, owe $100,000. Sirgoinsville house, appraised at $400,000 plus, worthless with Renee on the property. You will hear testimony that Renee Charles is Joel Guy Sr.'s sister. His sisters live in the Sirgoinsville area. Her car, his SUV, not paid for. His boat, his old truck, paid for. His 401k, $80,000, possibly less after taxes. He could possibly have savings and or other investment accounts.
Fucking piece of shit.
So we believe that the proof will show you, ladies and gentlemen, that the motive in this case, it's not an element of the crime, but the motive is financial.
Whoa.
Money, all mine, $500,000.
Shit.
What the fuck?
I get the whole thing. There are 2 counts of, well, 3 counts actually of felony murder involving theft, the theft of property, and we expect to provide testimony that certain financial transactions were made with the guy's assets after the time of their deaths on November the 27th. And other articles of theirs were taken, and we believe that proof will show just what was taken from them. You're going to hear from expert witnesses, as I alluded to, or as I said in earlier. You're going to hear from a DNA expert who will talk to you about the DNA evidence found throughout the house. She's going to tell you exactly where she found the defendant's DNA, certainly on the latex gloves, on some of the weapons, and of course, the DNA of Joel and Lisa Guy were found throughout the house and on a lot of the blood evidence. Not all DNA evidence is blood evidence, of course, and she will explain all of this to you. That's Agent Kim Lowe. Then you will hear about the autopsy of Joel Sr. and the autopsy for Lisa. Dr. Amy Hawes with the Forensic Center in Knox County is our expert witness in that area, and she will testify to you about the cause and manner of death, and you will see photographic evidence, and you'll see diagrams, and she will be able to better explain to you than me what exactly happened to them. And again, you're going to hear from a forensic anthropologist, Dr. Murray Marks, with respect to the injuries to the bones of both Joel and Lisa. Joel was identified by fingerprints because we had his hands, and Lisa was identified by dental records. And Dr. Marks will describe for you and show you images of the damage that was done to their bone structures, and explain the difference between dismemberment and disarticulation, and he will be one of our expert witnesses. You will also hear expert testimony on with respect to fingerprints and electronic devices that were examined by Eddie Wassman with the Sheriff's Office, and Tom Finch, who did the fingerprint evidence. So other than the felony murder counts, the premeditated murder counts, the felony murder counts, Mr. Guy is also charged with 2 counts of abuse of corpse. I don't think we need to belabor that. And you will hear evidence of flight, and the court will give you an instruction on what flight means and how you can judge it with respect to with respect to this case, but the evidence we submit to you will show that after killing his parents and dismembering them and trying to destroy evidence of his involvement at this scene, he left, went back to Louisiana. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that at the end of our proof, at the conclusion of everything, turn it off, you will find Joel Michael Guy Jr. guilty of every count of this indictment, because we will have proven it to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Thank you very much for your attention.
I believe you.
Mr. Halstead, would you like to make an opening statement, sir?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly.
Okay, hold on. The prosecutor's opening statement was 58 minutes long. His defense is going to be like 2 minutes long. Let's see what this is.
I first just wanted to introduce myself. Mr. Stevens did all the work in the jury selection. I am John Halstead. This is Mark Stevens, and we are representing today Mr. Guy. I want to start out by saying thank you for being here. Our criminal justice system is one of the probably the best one in the world. And what makes it so great is that we have citizens who are willing to come to court, especially during a pandemic, during a time like this, willing to come to court, spend a week listening to the proof and making a decision. And another strong part of our constitutional criminal process is that that decision has to be made beyond a reasonable doubt. And that reasonable doubt can come from witnesses, it can come from physical evidence, it can come from cross-examination. And we just ask you and know that you will listen to everything very closely, listening for the reasonable doubt and making your decision at the end of the case. Again, I want to thank you for being here. This is a difficult time to try a case, difficult time to do anything, and we really need you, and you've come forward, and we really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, folks.
Half of his opening was thanking everyone for being there. What the fuck did we just watch? Okay. All right. That was insane. Okay. Guys, even at this point, gonna be like, she just talked for like an hour, bro. You just got up there and talked for what's happening? What's going on right now? Wow. Holy shit. Let's finish that out. There's a couple minutes left.
Folks, so we are going to take a recess. We're going to rearrange the courtroom to set up the witness stand for the witnesses. And this will take us a little bit of time, but we should be able to start the proof before lunch. I suspect it's probably going to be a 20 to 30 minute break. Once again, do not discuss this case among yourselves. You can leave your notebooks in your chairs if you'd like. Also, if you want to leave personal belongings in the jury room, it'll be locked unless you folks are in there. So feel free to leave your belongings back there if you'd like. At this time, I'd ask you to go with the officers. We're going to start from the front again, and we'll just empty the jury box first and then the back row.
Has anyone ever seen a defense opening that short before? Okay, we're about to jump into Robin White, Angela Crane, Renee Charles, Michelle Dennison, and Jennifer Whited. These look like they're going to be rolling fast here in 21 minutes. Before we get there, ladies and gentlemen, again, thanks everyone for being here this morning on Murder Church. I appreciate the hell out of it. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
Thank you all so much for being here.
Respect my house.
Love it.
Hold up.
Let me do a little bit of love giving out here. Dinah Doe 420 coming through with another $2 holler. Love this place. Teething. I think I said that. I think I've ruined that word again. Cammy Q 999 passing the plate. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Helen then popped in the side door. She said, yo, here's $5. And I said, yo, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for the $5. Give me the loot. Love it. Yeah, thank you all so much for being here again. Please, if you're just popping through the door, if you haven't liked, please hit that like button. Helps us out in the algorithm. YouTube is they like the touch. They like the thumb. Share it out. Share it to your friends. Share it on Facebook. Share the post that I made on X. Get that to any of your followers. That'll help me out as well. And yeah, tell a friend about Murder Church. Let's bring a friend to Murder Church as we continue down on season 3, a new trial on this. Absolutely, that opening was wild. And has anyone ever seen a defense opening take 2 minutes? 2 minutes? He spent 1.5 minutes thanking everyone for being there, who have to be there. That was crazy. That was crazy. He really didn't even mention anything about the crime. So yeah, we're going to keep on rolling here. Still a little bit early on Murder Church. We go to about 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Jessica for Justice, are you doing a stream later on Kick, my lady? If you are, everybody, make sure that you're checking out Jessica. I'll get her link in here. She does some streaming on Kick on Sundays, usually watching Love After Lockup. I think she's still on that. And yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate it. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going. I'll hit you with a stinger. I need to get a new Murder Church stinger. I've been doing a little bit of work, as you guys can see. But here's a Murder Church stinger. Let's go.
Robin White.
Are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
Yes, he's my brother.
And
Son of a bitch, it's a sister.
is the defendant your nephew?
Yes.
Oh, the sister of the dad. Oh, okay. Wow, okay. Ugh. This is going to be wild. This is going to be wild.
And did you know Lisa Guy also?
Yes, she was like my sister.
All right. I want to direct your attention to the time period around Thanksgiving, just before Thanksgiving of 2016.
You're right.
And ask you if either your brother made any statements to you about his future plans regarding the support of his son, Joel Michael.
Yes. My brother had stated to me that he was retiring and moving up, and he had cut his son off from any money, anything. He was tired of keeping him up. And Lisa was fixing to move in the family home, and Lisa was fixing to cut him off when come Christmas, when he was supposed to come in. But he came in for Thanksgiving instead.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Just very briefly, so I understand your testimony is as to your brother. He stated that he had already cut off his son. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And as to your sister-in-law, she told you she was planning to cut him off at Christmas. Is that right?
Yes.
And the conversations that you had, well, let me ask this, the conversation you had with your brother, was your nephew part of that conversation?
No, he was not there.
Okay. The conversation you had with your sister-in-law, was your nephew party to that conversation?
Yes. It was all about cutting him off, yes.
Okay. That was a bad question. Let me ask again. When you talked to your sister-in-law about your nephew, did your nephew hear?
This is Aunt Sally. This is my Aunt Sally from up the road. Yep.
That conversation while it was going on?
No, he wasn't there.
Okay. That's all I was asking. Thank you. One second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just to clarify, as to Ms. Guy, your sister-in-law, did you have a conversation with her yourself, or did your brother tell you about?
I just have to pause it for 1 second because, I wasn't a fan of the mask. I'm sure none of you were a fan of the mask, but understood the mask to a degree. Look at this guy. He not only rocking that fucking mask, but the beard underneath, it was perfect. Look at the fucking what the fuck? It's symmetrically perfect. It's beautiful, is what that is. I can't even see the line. Just girth.
Your sister-in-law is planning to
No,
cut.
I talked to her about it too.
Okay. And a conversation with her is when she said she was planning to cut him off at Thanksgiving?
Yes.
I mean at Christmas?
At Christmas, yes.
Thank you.
Angela Crane.
Maybe missed it.
State your name for the record, please.
Angela Crane.
You're going to have to speak up into the microphone.
Sorry, Angela Crane.
Okay, can you pull the microphone close to your... And are you Joel Geis Sr.'s daughter?
Yes.
And you're the defendant's half-sister?
Yes.
And did you have any conversations in shortly before Thanksgiving holiday, shortly before their deaths, about your father's intention to stop providing support for your brother?
Yes.
And what did he say?
I mean, he said that Joe Michael was going to be cut off and going to have to stand on his own 2 feet.
Okay. Did you have any conversations with Lisa Guy about this?
Yes.
And what were those? What did she say to you?
She agreed. It was all in the same conversation with Dad and Lisa.
Okay. And
does his sister?
This happened close in time to their deaths. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Very briefly, Ms. Crane, do you recall when this conversation happened?
Probably October, around the middle, one of my trips back home to Tennessee.
Okay. And I understood you to say this was a single conversation with the two of them.
It's been an ongoing family conversation and knowledge. I know Dad had cut Joe Michael off probably years before, and the only reason why Lisa ever had a job, because she didn't need to work, was to solely take her check and provide it to Joe Michael, so he didn't need to work.
Okay. The conversation that you had, you said you thought was in October.
Yes.
And in which you repeated statements from both Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy. I'm just trying to understand, is that a time when there was the three of you talking about it together, or did you talk about it with one and then with the other?
The three of us together.
Okay. And did they indicate in those conversations, or in that conversation, the time when Joel Guy Jr. would be cut off?
After they retired and moved back to Sigornsville, moved home.
Okay. And so, obvious question, but at the time you had the conversation in October with Mr. Guy Sr. and Ms. Guy, Joel Guy Jr. was not present for that conversation.
Correct.
That's all, Your Honor.
Anything else? This was.
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Moving through real quick here.
Renee Charles.
Who's next?
State your name for the record.
Renee Charles.
Are you Joel Guy Sr.'s sister?
Yes, ma'am.
And shortly before his death, did he make any statements to you about his intention
She
to
let go of the mullet, though. The other one did not let go of the mullet. She's like, I'm rocking this motherfucker way past 1995, bitch.
For him and his wife to stop supporting your nephew, the defendant?
Yes, the week before.
Okay. And can you tell the judge what he said?
He said that Joel Michael was coming in Christmas because they wasn't going to do anything for Thanksgiving. He wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving. And they were going to talk to him then about him having to get a job and pay the bills and stuff down there because they were retiring and moving to Scornsville and they wasn't going to have any income.
Was Lisa there when that happened?
Yes.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you about it?
She said she was behind Mike.
Okay.
They were going to tell him.
Thank you. Ask the witness.
Briefly, Ms. Charles, just, and you may have said this, when did this conversation happen?
The week before.
Okay, the week before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, they came up to Sigornsville to bring some stuff.
Okay, and when they were in Sigornsville, when that conversation, it was the three of you having the conversation?
Yes.
And you said that Mr. Guy Sr. Said that they were going to cut him off.
Yes.
At Christmas, is that right?
They were going to talk to him at Christmas because he wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving.
Okay. So Mr. Guy did not actually say at what point the cutting off would happen, just when the conversation would happen.
Right.
And Ms. Guy was there during the conversation also.
Yes.
And what is it what did she say specifically about her?
She said she was behind it, that she was going to talk to him. They were both going to talk to him.
Okay. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Yeah.
Michelle Dennison.
Never seen him so fast.
State your name for the record, please.
Michelle Tyler.
And I'm sorry I've been calling you Dennison, but that's... Are you Joel Sr.'s daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant's half-sister?
Yes, ma'am.
In
Half-sister here.
time shortly before their deaths in October, November of 2016, did your father make any statements to you about his intention for him and Lisa to stop providing financial support for the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Did Lisa make statements like this?
On October the 28th, my youngest birthday, Lisa and Dad did. On Thanksgiving, Dad did.
Okay, and let's talk about the October statement first. Tell us what Lisa said.
They had both said, but Lisa said that Joel Michael was going to have to find a job because they only had a certain amount of money. The retirement, they had taken out his pension, and I'm not sure if that's the name of it, but they only had a certain amount to live on, and they would not be able to afford Joel Michael or paying for his apartment.
Okay.
Things like that.
And on Thanksgiving, what did your dad say to you?
You could, there was a little bit of tension, and so when everyone was inside and it was just...
I'm sorry? I'm sorry.
That'd be rough. I mean, this was one of the people that had the last dinner on Thanksgiving with these people, with her family, and this fucking guy.
It was just me and Dad and myself. That was bad grammar. It was just me and Dad. We were out on the porch, and he said that Lisa hadn't told Joel Michael, and that you could feel like that was what was causing the little bit of tension inside the house. That you could feel the tension.
Okay.
It was a little bit.
Did he say anything specifically about them withdrawing financial support from your brother?
That's what he said. He had told Joel Michael about the that they had told Joel Michael about him having to get a job or being cut off, but he didn't. I can't remember his correct verbiage, but it wasn't cut off. It's that they couldn't afford to support him any longer.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
Ms. Tyler,
I
just
got
a few
nothing.
questions to make sure I understand. As to the conversation at Thanksgiving time, you said you and your father were on the porch. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you said your father told you that Ms. Guy had talked to Joel Guy Jr. About stopping funding. Is that right?
That they had talked to Joel Guy Jr.
Okay, so that both Joel Guy Sr. said that he and Ms. Guy had talked to Joel Guy Jr.
That they had met on October the 28th. They had already told him he needed to be looking for a job, and then on Thanksgiving they had, I guess, confirmed it or solidified it.
They're like, this plastic surgery shit ain't working out, bud. Heard you dropped out of school. You done nothing for the last decade. You're going to have to figure this out. That's his life. I mean...
Okay.
It's solidified a word.
So is life.
So there's... I'm sorry, I don't mean to ask the same thing
Fucking
again. There's you
pathetic.
and your father on the porch. He's telling you about another conversation between him and Ms. Guy and Joel Guy Jr. Is that right?
Yes, between him, all three of them.
Okay. That conversation between the three of them, you were not present for that conversation?
No, sir.
Okay. And the conversation between you and your father, it was just the two of you on the porch. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Your Honor.
Anything else for this witness?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Jennifer Whited. State your name for the record.
Jennifer Whited.
Where are you employed?
At Jacobs.
What was your relationship with Lisa Guy?
I was Lisa's supervisor.
When did she tell you she was, when did she turn in her notice or let you know she was going to stop working?
She gave me a written notice on November 21st, 2016.
Okay. When was her last day of work?
December 2nd.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you? Did you all talk about personal matters to some degree?
We did.
Okay. Did she make any statements to you regarding her intention, her future intention to stop supporting her son?
She did make mention of that. She talked about her and her husband both retiring and moving to the family home and not being able to continue to support.
Okay. And do you know when that conversation took place?
Probably October and November. I mean, we talked just about every day. I made a point to go around and talk to all of my employees, and so we talked.
So you were aware she was going to retire before she turned in her written notice?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. White, as I understand your testimony, you had conversations with Ms. Lisa Guy. She was going to retire and would not be able to continue to support her son. Is that right?
Yes, we did, and have conversations about her intentions of no longer supporting.
Okay. In those conversations, did she indicate to you at what point that support, at what point it was her intention for that support to stop?
She did not say a specific date, but she did say, with them retiring, that she could no longer support him.
Okay. An obvious question, but in the conversation or conversations that you had with Ms. Guy, Joel Guy Jr. Was not present during those conversations?
No, he was not.
And so, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else with this witness, Joe?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down. Any other witnesses on this petition?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Harwell, do you have objections to what we have heard?
Yes, Your Honor, and I think there's two actually very distinct legal issues. I'll try to address both of them. The first relates to the testimony that Lisa Guy or Joel Guy Sr. Had told family members that it was their intention to cut off Joel Guy Jr. at Christmas or sometime in the future. The basis of our argument on those is those may arguably fall under 8033, a hearsay exception for state of mind covering intention. The problem on those where it falls short is relevance. I'm surprised sometimes how often issues recur, but as I was thinking about this is the exact same legal situation that Your Honor and I confronted in Brandon Donaldson. The issue is, if that is their intention and that is what they're telling other people, that's still not relevant absent any indication that Mr. Guy Jr. overheard that conversation, was aware that conversation.
Good question. I'm not sure if this is outside the presence of the jury or not.
Happened. Whether or not Lisa Guy had an intention in her head to cut her son off.
If the video was just fluid and he just popped right up and started talking, if there was like a hip
off at Christmas, doesn't make anything more likely in the case unless Mr. Guy, the defendant, knew that was her intention. So yes, maybe that is 8033 material, but absent evidence that the defendant knew of it, it hasn't been linked up. So that's the argument as to those set of statements. The other statement that I think is a different legal issue is what Ms. Tyler testified to, which is that when at a time they were on the porch, that her father told her that a conversation had already happened, that Ms. Guy had talked to the defendant and told him that he had been or was about to be cut off. And that one, I think, that clearly is a hearsay problem, because now we're not talking about statement of state of mind and of intention. This is Joel Guy Sr. Making a statement to his daughter out of court that the state would be offering for its truth. The state would be offering that to prove that, in fact, Lisa Guy talked to Joel Guy Jr. And told him that he was being cut off. So that seems to me that is just straightforward hearsay, not within an exception, and should be precluded for that reason.
Thanks, sir. General, before I let you argue, I want to address the first objection as to relevance. assuming these are proper under 803.3, I do think that they would be relevant toward a possible motive on the defendant's part to be the person who committed these crimes. The notebook that the state intends to introduce indicated some money component, somebody who's an adult being supported by the parents and being cut off from that support could be a potential motive. So I do think that there is relevance if the state can, in fact, establish that. Even, I don't think we have to know the defendant actually heard those conversations, that there was an intent that they were going to pretty soon move out of that home and live off their retirement in Sir Goinsville. I think it's all close enough in time to make that relevant. We did hear the testimony from Ms. Tyler, and I think Ms. White that had already happened, and so even though I don't think that's going to be admissible, I do think that plays into motive. Now to the second part, hearsay. I think most of what I heard was proper 803.3, declaring the declarant's future intention to cut him off, but there were a couple that I noted I don't think would fall. In general, I will hear your argument on this if you disagree with me, but Ms. White said that Mr. Guy said he was retiring and had already cut his son off.
I will concede that she should not say that.
Yeah. Is she still in here, Ms. Robin White? Ms. White, okay, so this is a very sort of tricky legal issue. Now, what somebody says, and Ms. Tyler, I want you to listen to this too, what somebody says outside of the courtroom is what we call hearsay, and normally that is not allowed to be presented to the jury, but there's some exceptions to that. And one of those exceptions is when somebody declares their intent to do something. Like if I said to Mr. Sanchez, I'm going to go to the mall and watch a movie tonight, then he could come to court and say, Judge Sword told me that day he was going to a movie tonight, because that is an exception to hearsay. You're talking about somebody's future intention. But if I said, hey, Mr. Sanchez, I went to the movies last night, he couldn't say that, because that is a statement of something that had happened in the past, and there's a question on the reliability of that. So, Ms. White, when you say Mr. Guy told you that he had already cut the defendant off, you can't say that in court. That's inadmissible because it's something that's already happened in the past. But then when you say that Lisa Guy said that they were fixing to move into the family home and she was fixing to cut him off too, that's okay, because that's her statement of something that's going to happen, what she's going to do in the future, her intent, her plan of what she's going to do. That stuff's okay. And Ms. Tyler, the same thing with you. You had said that at Thanksgiving when you were out there with your dad, he said that they had already had the conversation with him. That's a past event, so you cannot talk about that. But when you talked about the October 28th conversation with your mom, that he's going to have to find another place, and because they're going to stop supporting him, that's okay as well too. So General, I take it you concede on that as well. Okay, so that's going to be the court's ruling. I think it was just those two that I heard that were past events. Everything else I think was a future plan of the declarant, and so that'll be my ruling. I'm going to overrule the first objection on relevance, and I'm going to overrule it except for those two exceptions as noted. All right. General, who's your first witness?
Jennifer Whited.
Okay. You think we can do that before lunch? We got 30 minutes.
Already talking about lunch out here.
You okay?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that'll be a problem.
All right. We've already got the witness stand clean. You ready for the jury, General? You ready, Mr. Halstead?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to go into, those are super fucking fast. Jennifer Whited is back. Angela Crane, Candace Fink, Renee Charles, Robin White, and Michelle Dennison. I feel like that's the one we just watched. Am I wrong? No, it's not. All right. Weird though, right? Opening, witness testimony. You got 4 over here? Okay. All right. Everybody, thanks for coming in. Bob Mata just popped through. What's up, dude? Thanks for coming in here. Murder Church on the air. I think I've got one to take care of here. Hold on. Yes, I do. Lakota coming through with the $4.99 2-minute defense. That was insane. Bob, and somebody else in the chat had said that they have seen a super short defense, but 2 minutes? This guy just stood up and was like, hey, guys, he actually spent a minute and a half just thanking everyone for being there. It was pretty funny. This is crazy, though. This one is a wild one that was chosen on Fail Friday by the people. But yeah, I think this dude looks like, I think he looks like Penguin. And not so much in court here. It's the picture with the long hair. This one, particularly, is the one I'm thinking about. This one right here. Well, that'll fuck that right up. But this one right here. And then I just, I didn't have to do a whole lot of work to make it. I used this face swapping site, and it was essentially, you know, fucking perfect, I think. Like, he just, it fit way too perfect right there. Within Danny DeVito's version of the Penguin from Batman. But, yeah. We're going to keep rocking and rolling here for a little bit. It's 11:30. We got about another hour or so left here on Murder Church. Again, everyone for hanging and banging this morning. I appreciate the shit out of it. Again, tell your friends. Let people know that you're hanging out here at Publicly Buzzed on Murder Church. And, yeah, keep spreading the word. I love how many people are hanging and banging here. And, again, Season 3, Murder Church on the air. Let's go, baby. I'll hit you with a stinger real quick. I'm going to run and take a piss after we get this started, but we'll keep it rolling. Love you guys.
Boom. Thank you. State your name for the record, please.
Hopefully I don't miss
Jennifer
one.
Whited.
Where do you work, Ms. Whited?
I work at Jacobs.
What is your position there?
I'm the federal contracts manager.
Did you know Lisa Guy?
I did.
How did you know her?
She was one of my employees.
You were her supervisor?
Correct.
When did she first become employed with Jacobs?
She became a temporary employee with Jacobs in January 2012, and then she became a permanent employee in March 2013.
What was her job description?
She was a disbursement specialist.
What does a disbursement specialist do?
Within that group, we ran payments for Jacobs globally, and she would generate those payment files, review the information within the payment files, and if they were okay to pay, she would go ahead and process those payment batches.
Right. As a full-time employee, did she have benefits with the company?
Yes, she did.
Do you know whether or not she had a life insurance policy?
She did.
And do you know who her beneficiaries were for her life insurance?
I'm not 100% sure what the split was, but it was Joel Sr. and Joe Michael Jr.
Okay. And would you describe it as being work friends? You were friends while you were at work? Is that
correct? Correct.
And as part of your friendship, did Lisa Guy ever express to you her intentions about her future plans for supporting her son?
Whenever we would discuss about her moving to the family home, we did discuss about her intentions with her son.
And what did she say about her future intentions?
About no longer being able to support him because her and Joel Sr. were both retiring.
So you were aware that she was going to move on?
I was aware, yes.
When did she turn in her notice?
She turned in her notice on November 21st, 2016.
Did you discuss her plans to retire before that, though?
Oh, yes, definitely.
All right. And when was her last day at work?
Her last day, per her notice, should have been December 2nd.
And that would have been a Friday?
Correct.
Right. Can you describe her demeanor? Were you able to observe her demeanor during the time prior to Thanksgiving holiday?
Oh, prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, yep. She was excited, yet a little preoccupied because she had so many things changing in her life, but she seemed to be very excited.
Were you aware that she had sold her house?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know about her plans for Thanksgiving?
I did.
What did she tell you?
she was excited to know that her entire family, her kids, were coming to spend the holiday with her and Joel Sr.
And did you talk to her at all on the Thanksgiving holiday weekend?
I did not talk to her during the Thanksgiving weekend.
I want to direct your attention to Monday, November the 28th, and ask you what happened that day.
Well, Lisa, her work schedule started at 7 a.m., and I noticed at about 7:15 that she was not in the office. And I normally gave my employees about 15 minutes to get there, and, more out of being concerned that they were okay, I would start calling. So 7:15 came and she wasn't there. Nobody in our group had heard from her. So I began texting her, and she didn't text back. And I thought that was highly unusual. A lot of thoughts went through my mind, hoping that she was okay, hoping that, this was her last week. She was retiring, that she had blown us off. But I knew that wasn't right. So I continued to text her. I continued to text Joel Sr. I called and never did get an answer.
Would that have been unlike her to not show up for work and not to call?
Oh, absolutely. If she couldn't make it to work, she would have called me immediately.
And do I understand you to say that you also attempted to call her husband?
I did.
All right. And how many times would you say you called or texted?
I lost track of how many times, but I kept doing it thinking this time they're going to answer. I would say at least 20, at least.
And then what did you decide to do?
I wanted to call the police to have a welfare check done. So I called the police.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, we would ask to introduce our first exhibit. Exhibits 1 and 2, a recording of, you called an emergency line or non-emergency?
Non-emergency, yes.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the court is to receive this as Exhibit 1 and 2. When I receive an item into evidence as an exhibit, it means it's a piece of evidence that you can consider and will have with you in the jury room during deliberations. 3 and 4.
1. On Monday, November 28, 2016, at 9:38 a.m., with a GMT offset of negative 300 minutes. Agent ID extension is 203.
Not so police communications. Yes, I have an employee that has not reported for work today, and highly unlike her. I've tried calling her home number, I've tried calling cell phone, and can't get a hold of her. What can we do about that? Can somebody go by and check on them? Yeah, do you know her address? I do. What is that? It is 11434 Golden View Lane. My name is Jennifer Whited, W-H-I-T-E-D. And what company are you with? Jacobs Engineering. And what's a good callback for you guys? It is Okay, what's the employee's name? Lisa Guy, G-U-Y. Her husband's name is Joel, J-O-E-L. Should he be there too? Does he live with her? Yes, he does. Okay. And they do have a dog named Jake. I think he's a big baby. Okay. How old is she, do you know? She is in her, I think, late 50s. Do you know if she has any medical issues? No, I mean, she has high blood pressure, but that's all that I know of. Yeah, I know that their house is for sale, and they are moving, and she is leaving our company, but that's supposed to be Friday, and this definitely isn't like her just not to show up. Okay. All right, I'll send a call over to changes before then, just give us a call back here, okay? At the same number? Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
And after that, did you make a second call?
I did.
And can you tell the jurors about that?
I had realized that nobody had called me, still could not get a hold of Lisa or Joel, so I called back to see what they had found with the welfare check. And I was told that everything seemed to be fine, that nothing looked out of the place, and so they didn't do anything further. I asked them to please go back because I knew that something was not right. She had plans with other co-workers that day, and that she would not have canceled or just blown them off. She would have at least called. So I asked them to go back.
And what is the next thing you heard in response?
Oh shit! Nice. I was hoping that's 7. Just Googled this, and this fuckface takes the stand. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Your request.
I was told that they would talk to a detective to see what they thought, and they would get back with me.
Oh, it's pretty clear, Bob. Yeah. He wrote it out in great detail in this black notebook that the police found immediately when he went to go. Oh man, the story's insane, dude. Watch the beginning of this. This is fucking nuts. But yeah, the defense had nothing essentially. Like they stood up, said, "Thanks guys for being here. Let's get after it."
And what happened next?
It was probably 20 to 30 minutes later, I think, that I got a phone call from a detective wanting to ask me more questions about Lisa and what I knew. But I did not know that anything in particular had happened.
All right. Was there something special planned that day for Lisa?
There was a lunch that she was going to have with some other co-workers for her retirement.
All right. And when did you hear what had happened?
In their home? Yes. What had happened in their home? I had heard that there were bodies found Monday evening, so that evening.
All right.
Damn.
May I approach?
May. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now, you indicated, Ms. Whited, that...
Yeah, that dude right there, he's not taking notes about the trial. He's making plans for later. Nothing I could do to help this motherfucker.
At Jacobs, there is... Ms. Guy was provided with life insurance benefits. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And at this time, Your Honor, please, we're going to introduce as our next exhibit, it's upon a records custodian affidavit, the insurance benefits policy of Lisa Guy. And we would like to publish just one page, the beneficiary page.
Without objection, we're going to receive as Exhibit 4 the insurance policy purporting.
Yeah, that was the vibe he was going for. Kamikyu, he was trying to set it up as an intruder type of situation. That's what it seemed like. He was setting up the scene to make it look like, something else was happening.
Belong to this guy, and you may publish.
Horrible execution. Maybe the worst execution. We've seen some bad executions out here from these idiots, these morons. And again, thank God they are that stupid.
Yes.
And
but it's just
can
a
you
wow.
Tell the jury who her beneficiaries were?
To be able to read it, I need my glasses.
Sanchez, can you increase your size?
So Joel Guy Sr. was 50%, and then Joel Guy Jr. was also 50%.
Okay. And were you aware of the amount of her insurance coverage?
I know what the company provides employees, and it's based off their pay, so I knew that she at least had that. I did not know if she had any additional that she had the option to purchase.
Okay. And if I'm going to pass the witness at this time, Your Honor, please, and then I'll may publish a further document with respect to this exhibit.
Cross-examination.
Ms. Whited.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Mark Stevens. When someone designates a beneficiary on a life insurance policy, do you reach out to those beneficiaries and notify them of that?
No, I do not do that.
All right. Do you know whether anyone within Jacobs Engineering reaches out to those beneficiaries?
When they're made a beneficiary,
right.
or no?
And have you ever had any personal contact or conversation with Joel?
Yeah, just a second for anybody just coming in that's just coming in on this. City Kitty, it was tougher and more work than he had thought going to dismember somebody. So in his notes when he first wrote this out, he's essentially going, act like the garbage disposal's clogged. Get dad to fix it. When dad's bent down, stab him, kill him, clean up blood, clean up scene before mom gets home from the grocery store. Like, he thinks he's going to be able to do all this like that. And then it started unfolding, and then what happened? Oh, I can't do this. I got to get the hell out of here. My hands hurt. I hurt my hands.
Joel Jr. about the fact that he was named a beneficiary in that policy?
No, I have not.
So you have no firsthand knowledge whether Joel knew that he was a beneficiary, named a beneficiary in that policy?
I do not have any firsthand knowledge.
Ms. Whited, do you recall in 2018 someone from my office coming over to speak with you?
I do.
And you declined, which is well within your right, to speak to that individual, is that right?
That's correct.
Then ultimately you were nice enough, you reconsidered, and you agreed to talk with me on the telephone. Do you recall that?
I do recall that, yes.
And do you recall that I asked you, I told you that I had heard that there was some media report that apparently Lisa and Joel Guy Sr. were planning to cut him off financially, and I asked you whether you had any firsthand knowledge of that or whether that statement was accurate. Do you remember me asking you that?
I don't remember the exact questions.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I don't really either, but generally that was the question, whether or not you were aware of the media reports about him being cut off financially. Is that right? And
Yes.
do you remember telling me you didn't want to talk about that?
Yes, I do. I remember saying that on quite a few questions.
And when you told me you didn't want to talk about that, you were aware of your testimony hasn't changed today from that. So you were aware in 2018 of this statement that you're saying she made. You chose not to share that.
I was aware that we had, in passing conversations, that this was going to happen, but you told me that I didn't have to answer any questions that I did not want to answer. So yes, I was aware.
All right. That's all I have. Thank you, Ms. White. Thank you.
Yeah, this is the lady that
would like to just republish. It's the same page. I just
like, even if his plan would have been to come back after going all the way back to Baton Rouge and getting his hands bandaged up, you know, this is the lady that really fucked his plans up. Threw a monkey wrench, boom, right in the spoke.
see it on
Instantly went to hell. Yeah, and if for anybody just coming in, stabbed the dad, 42 times, stabbed the mom like 34 times, something to that effect. The hardest part for me is that he didn't cut the mom's head off. He ripped the mom's head off. They said he broke the bone. Okay? Like, that's crazy. I'm sure he was cutting in. I can't stop thinking about that. That's insane. I'm sorry. Fucking insane.
Why did I just want to direct your attention to the very top line of that, and it says coverage election amount. Do you see that? And what is that figure?
500,000.
Thank you. Nothing further than this.
Anything else, Mr. Davis?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Angela Crane.
I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. You're very soft-spoken.
I'm sorry. Angela Crane.
Ms. Crane, can you introduce yourself to the jury, tell them where you live, what you do, and how you're related to Joel Guy Sr.?
Joel Guy Sr. is my father. I'm from Kingsport, Tennessee. Born and raised. In April of 2016, I went to upstate New York with my job for an emergency project, and I've been up there since.
What do you do?
I do civil design.
Okay, what does that entail?
It's civil engineering design. It's right now I'm working on currently 11 sanitary sewer projects.
Okay. What does your father do for a living?
He's a piping designer, and he's actually the reason why I do what I do. Growing up, we used to, whenever he and Lisa and Joel Michael would come up and visit, he would always bring blueprints of the projects he was working on, and And I was just fascinated. It was drawing and math, which is both things that I love, and he encouraged that. So.
Okay. Now, Lisa was not your mother, is that correct?
Correct.
Can you tell the jury when you met Lisa and how that came about?
Lisa, when Michelle and I were 3, they met, and she's been like a second mother to us since before I can remember.
So your mother and your sister's mother and your father divorced, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
When we were 1, I believe, was when they divorced.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long Joel and Lisa were married?
31 years, I believe.
So when did you first learn that he was going to be retiring?
Well, they had been talking about it for a while, but he had sent a group message we have a family group message, and it, so that was on November 17th that he finally got word that his house had sold and they had signed the documents and that they needed to be out of the home by December 13th. So, but they have had the house up for sale for quite some time.
Okay. And were you aware of Lisa's plans to retire?
Yes, she was excited about retiring and just spending her time. They were madly in love, so just spending time with each other.
Okay. Does she make any statements to you about her intentions with respect to?
No, they bring them back up, Karen. I thought that too at first, but they brought them. I'm not exactly sure why.
Of her son, the defendant.
She did on one of my trips back home in October. Dad and I were talking out in the garage, and she had stated that they were going to retire, and it was time for Joel Michael to stand on his own 2 feet. He was an adult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you say you're out in the garage. Can you explain how your family used the garage?
It was our social gather. Like every time we visited Dad and Lisa, I believe we stood up the whole entire time. We just congregated and hung out, and we would go out in the garage, and that's where we smoked cigarettes and just even played cornhole in the garage.
Did they put their cars in the garage? Typically?
They kept the boat in the garage.
Okay. All right. Can you tell the jury how often you communicated with your dad?
Oh, if not every day. And on Sundays we would call and talk, but via text message. Dad, Michelle, Lisa, and I had this text thread where we would just text each other. I mean, we just really would banter. Dad was so funny.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about the decision to move to Sirgoinsville? What made that a special place for your father?
That was his old stomping grounds. That's where he grew up. That was his family home, and he was excited to go back home.
Okay. Now, again, what was your understanding of when the move would take place?
Well, they had to be out by December 13th, so they were packing and getting everything ready for the new homeowners to move in on December 13th. So it was...
And were you aware of when Lisa's last day at work would be?
It was the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Did you attend the Thanksgiving holiday?
I was going to, but at last minute I decided I was going to spend the whole week with them for Christmas. So I did not.
What were the family plans for Christmas?
To have the whole entire family in Sirgoinsville, have a Christmas Eve dinner, and just be reunited and enjoy each other.
Okay. And you mentioned that your parents that Lisa and Joel had a very warm relationship. Did you communicate often with your brother?
No.
And can you describe your relationship with Lisa?
With Lisa, she was one of my best friends, and so was Dad.
I'm going to pass the witness. Thank you.
No questions, John.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You may remain in the audience.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Candace Fink.
And I'm going to have to ask you to speak up just a bit.
Candace Fink.
Ms. Fink, where do you live?
Kingsport, Tennessee.
How are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
He's my dad.
Right. And I would like for you to tell the jury what your understanding was about Joel and Lisa's plans for their move to Sirgoinsville.
They plan to retire.
And did you talk to your father often?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how often you spoke to him or texted?
Almost every weekend, unless one of the two of us was going to be out of town or something.
Okay. Did you hear from your father or communicate with him at all on Saturday, November the 26th, or Sunday, November the 27th?
No.
And did that surprise you?
It did.
And why did it surprise you?
Because Sunday was my birthday.
Did you expect a call from your father on that day?
Yes.
Did you find it unusual that he did not call?
It was the first birthday I ever missed.
I'm going to pass the witness.
Thank you, ma'am. And you may remain in the audience.
Renee Charles.
Please have a seat, ma'am, and you may remove your mask. Please speak loudly into the microphone.
State your name for the record, please.
Renee Charles.
Ms. Charles, how are you related to Joel Guy Sr.?
I'm his sister.
And how did you refer to him?
As Mike.
So he was known as Mike growing up? Okay. How often did you talk to your brother?
3 or 4 times a week.
Right. Did you communicate by telephone or by text?
Text, mostly.
Text. Okay. And did you communicate with him around the Thanksgiving holiday?
Yes.
In 2016?
Yes.
And did you discuss with him his plans for the future?
Yes.
And what did you know his plans to be?
Well, the week before, they were at the house, and we were talking about what they were going to do, and they said that they were going to wait till Christmas to talk to Joel Michael, that they were going to have him to start paying his bills and stuff.
Okay. Did you all have plans for Christmas?
Yes.
What were the plans?
Everybody was going to meet at the house, and Joel Michael would be in for Christmas. They said he wasn't coming in for Thanksgiving.
Okay. And was that going to be in Surgoinsville then, the new house?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe this house for the jury? Was this your family home?
Yes.
All right. And had your brother Joel Sr. or Mike, had he already made arrangements to buy the house?
Yes. They was done moving stuff in.
And when was the last time that you saw him?
The week before.
Okay. Do you know whether or not he had plans to travel to Surgoinsville on November the 25th?
Yeah.
That would have been a Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I called him that day.
Okay. And what were his plans?
They were going to leave and go back about 3:30.
So they were planning to come up to
Friday.
Surgoinsville from Knoxville?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
why were they coming up for the day?
To bring the boat and clean and do things around the house.
And I believe you just said that they intended to go back home to Knoxville about 3?
About 3:30, so they could eat supper.
Okay. Now, did you try to communicate with him at all on the following days, Saturday or Sunday, the 26th or 27th?
I called him Thanksgiving Day, and I called him Saturday and Sunday.
Did you speak to him or hear from him on Saturday and Sunday?
No.
How many times would you say that you tried to talk to him?
I called 2 or 3 times and texted.
And you got no response?
No.
All right. Now, did you have a relationship with Lisa?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that relationship?
She's just a good friend, you know, a sister-in-law, you know.
Did you have an opportunity to observe her relationship with your brother?
Yes.
And what was their relationship like?
It was great. I mean, they just fit, you know. They were meant to be together.
Now, did you have a relationship with your nephew, the defendant?
No, just when he come in for holidays.
Okay. So the last time you communicated with your brother was on Friday, November the 25th. Is
Yes.
that right? And you did not receive a response from him on the 26th and 27th?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Just briefly. Renee, Joel lived in Louisiana, is that correct?
Yes.
And at some point, Mike and Lisa moved from Louisiana up to Knoxville.
Yes.
Joel did not move with them.
No.
So Joel's entire life, he'd lived in Louisiana, and you, for your entire life, had lived in Upper East Tennessee, is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
That's all I have.
Anything else, Joe?
No.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit down.
Robin White. State your name for the record, please.
Robin White.
Best damn mullet in Knoxville, Tennessee, Knox County. You come on down to the county fair and you tell me this is not the best mullet. And I love a good mullet, but this one right here, shit.
How are you related?
I don't even need to do the shit myself because I got them on fucking lock. Oh!
To Joel Guy Sr.
He's my brother.
And what did you call him?
Mike.
All right. Ms. White, do you live in Sirgoinsville?
I do.
Okay. Did you...
This is my area right here. This is how people around me talk. All right, this is my aunt right here.
know whether or not your brother had plans to move to Sirgoinsville?
Yes.
And can you tell the jury what those plans were when he planned to do it?
He planned to retire, and he bought the home from me. When my dad died, I was the trustee, and he bought the house from me. And I helped him clean and do things around the house. I got to spend all day Wednesday before he died with him. And
that would have been the 23rd of November?
Yeah.
May I approach?
You may.
I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as Exhibit 5 and ask you if you recognize this.
I do. That's our home.
Okay, and is that the house that he was going to buy from you?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, if we could publish this photograph to the jury, please.
Any objection?
No, no.
Exhibit 5, you may publish. Just a second.
Now, when did they plan to go up there to live? When did you think that?
Well, they was moving in some, things and stuff, and doing things to the yard, getting ready to move the dog, putting fences up and stuff for the dog. And we helped them with all that.
Okay. Did you discuss plans with your brother for the holidays that were coming up?
No, I didn't discuss no plans for the holidays. I'm not one to plan that far ahead.
Well, so
I was just busy helping him with the house and stuff.
What about the Christmas holiday?
Yeah, we usually see each other. We always have. We've always, the family always gets together and has a big meal and enjoys each other.
Okay. Now, you said that on Wednesday the 23rd he was going to be bringing, did you say he was bringing the boat up to the house? Or?
Yeah, we got done working in the basement that day and everything, and he said he'd be back up Friday. He was going to bring the boat and stuff. And I called him Friday, and it was probably about 1 o'clock. He said he wasn't going to be there much longer, that him and Joel Michael was there, and they had brought the boat and stuff up. He wasn't going to be there much longer, that I could just holler at him our Monday when he come back up.
Okay. And did he indeed bring the boat up on Friday?
He did.
And do you know who was with him when he brought the boat up?
All I know is Joel Michael was with him, because he was showing him the house and everything.
Okay. Now, at some point before Thanksgiving, did you have a conversation with Lisa Guy about her future intentions, what she was going to do after she quit work?
Yeah, Lisa said that she was going to retire too and maybe try to find some work. I'm not really sure if she was really going to find a job or not, but, she said, she was excited about everything.
Okay. And did she discuss her future plans on whether or not she could help support her son?
She said that she couldn't do that no more.
Okay.
That he needed to be on his own.
And did you have an opportunity to observe the relationship between your brother and Lisa?
Oh, yeah. I was with them a lot. We went a lot of places together, parks and stuff, Okay. Yeah, they was very much in love, and you could tell it when you was around them.
Okay. And what was your relationship like with Lisa?
Lisa was like my sister.
Okay. And do you know your nephew very well?
No.
And
no, I really don't.
And he
never was around.
He lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
Shit to know him.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Just to clarify one point, when the vote was brought up, did you see Mike and Joel Michael that day?
No, I talked to my brother on the phone while he was there.
Okay.
Because I was
Thank you.
going to come down.
Okay, thank you.
Very briefly, did you talk to him again afterwards on the 26th or the 27th, that Saturday or Sunday?
No, my sister called me and told me she couldn't get in touch with neither one of them.
Okay.
She was worried.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. You may sit.
State your name for the record, please.
Michelle Tyler.
And how are you related to the parties in this case?
I am Joel Guy's daughter and Lisa's stepdaughter.
And how are you? Are you and Angela Crane twins?
Yes, ma'am.
Sisters. Okay. Can you describe for the jury a little bit your relationship with Lisa and your dad?
We were very close, like friends, like best friends. They were my best friends.
Did you communicate with them regularly?
Yes, ma'am. And we had a group text. It was more, the text was banter, just funny. Even through email, Dad would send banter of funniness.
Okay. And how often would you all communicate together?
Weekly, if not daily, but weekly.
Okay. And I take it from what you're saying that you've had a good relationship with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us a little bit about how long you had been with Lisa and what your connection to her was?
Lisa's been in my life my entire life, and it said it 3, but she's been my entire memory. And so we would go in the summers. Dad would have us for a month in the summer because they always lived so far away, and Angela and I would go visit for the entire month. But the dynamics of that was my mom was a single mom, so there's struggles with single moms. But when we went to Lisa's house, her cabinets were stocked with food, and she greeted Dad like the perfect Walton family. When they would come home, dinner would be cooked with meat and side dishes, and there would be candy in the shelves, and I just would watch her, and I watched her growing up like she was the mom, or that dream that you have to have a double parent home, to where she loved, like, I so wanted to be this woman that my first engagement ring was her exact engagement ring, and I wanted to be the mom she was. She would sit in her little brown Sperry brown shirt. She had a really high arch in her foot, and just with her cup, I wanted to even, at certain points in my life, I walked around with a cup that had like the little square placement under it, because I wanted to be her. I wanted to be the mom that she was.
So it's fair to say you all maintained this relationship well into your adulthood, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And because of your close relationship with them, did they tell you about their plans?
Yes, ma'am.
In October and November of 2016, what were you aware about their future plans?
We celebrated my youngest son's birthday in October. It's October 28th, that weekend. They had said that they were retiring and that they were moving to Sikoransville, and that Joel Michael was going to find a job or need to find a job because they were no longer their money when they sat down and determined, even down to the amount of beer that they drink a week and the amount of cigarettes that they have a week, what amount of money they would need, and that amount of money was what they had to retire.
Okay. Now, on Thanksgiving, November the 24th of that year, did you plan to be with them?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell the jury what time you went over and who you were with? I'm not sure what time I arrived. It was early. We always spent all day together. My 3 sons were with me. They were significantly younger, so they weren't as big in the pictures. See, grown 7 feet. My oldest is here today. So my sons were with me, sorry. And anybody else?
So my sons came with me, and then my boyfriend was coming that evening. He was having Thanksgiving dinner at his granny's house. And then he was coming to my house, but my parents did not know at that point that he was coming.
Okay. But it's fair to say you were with your parents before he came?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And who else was staying in the house?
It was Joel Michael Jr.
Okay. And can you tell the jury how long you were there?
I would say I was there from 10:30 or 11 until 8 o'clock that night.
Okay.
Maybe 8:30.
Can you describe what you all did throughout the day?
We it's no, I don't know if it's usual for everyone else, but ours is you hang out in the garage and you laugh and you talk and you tell the same stories, and then you move to different spots. So we moved at one point to the back porch. This day was a little different. It was always more. The typical time with Dad and Lisa was more laughing and banter, but if Joel Michael Jr. was there, he wasn't ever hanging with us doing that banter. He would be in his room.
Okay.
Except for on Thanksgiving.
And at some point, did he interact, though, with your children?
The Thanksgiving was different. The Thanksgiving was completely different. The moment that I arrived, Joel Michael Jr. was talking to us, and so he had never. I'm not sure Joel Michael Jr. knew my kids' names, and so
he's sitting there right now. No, I don't. Fuck this guy.
For him to talk to them was odd, and so he was talking to my kids, and he was bringing them upstairs. They had Lisa had kept every single thing that this kid had. That, I mean, he wasn't a kid at that point, but his entire everything, Beanie Babies that he had collected, things that he had put on the shelf like egg science stuff, and she memorialized. It's not a word. Memorialized. I'm not going to know the word right now. Memorialized. No.
Memorialize.
Yes, that word. His entire life in boxes upstairs, and so they were bringing those boxes down, but it wasn't Lisa giving that away. Lisa didn't want to give it away. It was Joel Michael Jr. giving it to my boys, which was still odd.
So he gave them some toys?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have occasion to make any observations about your brother's car on that day?
I had, that day I had sent Dad a text. My dryer had broke. And I had sent Dad a text with a picture of all of my clothes in the back. And there was a full trunk full of clothes. And so when I had pulled in for my car to be right there so I could carry all of these clothes upstairs to his washer and dryer. But in walking past Joel Michael's car, there was this big totes in the back, and the lids were on them, and one was inside the other, but I thought he had carried his luggage in my brain, what my brain thought. Or my first reaction was that his luggage was in that car. Why he had carried, that's the reason I remembered it. Why did he put his luggage? Why does he not have luggage?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go upstairs?
It was so odd that my boys were upstairs, like interacting with Joel Michael, that I was going upstairs for two reasons. I was going upstairs for laundry, and then I was going upstairs to check on the boys.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to go into your parents' bedroom?
I did.
And did anything seem to be out of the ordinary there?
No, my dad, I never make the bed up, ever. My bed's still not made up right now. My dad makes the bed up every day. Lisa, that's one thing they always did, even growing up. Like, I wanted to be that housewife that made the bed like Lisa did. And so the bed was always made up. The bathroom stuff was always clean. Like, it was always, they had separate bathrooms. But
do you know which room your brother was using that weekend?
He was, if you come to the top of the stairs, the room that he was using that weekend was right at the top of the stairs. Their room was to the right, and his was right there.
Okay. And was there a bathroom up there for him to use? Were you aware of which bathroom he used?
No, ma'am.
Okay. How many bathrooms were upstairs in the house?
2.
Okay. And was there a bathroom connected to the master bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
So the other bathroom was where?
The other bathroom was Joel Michael Jr.'s room, and if you go down the hallway, it was down the hallway on the right.
And where was the laundry room?
The laundry room was right across from that bathroom.
Upstairs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I guess you were aware that your parents had a dog?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did you do laundry while you were there?
Yes, a lot.
And did you observe anything unusual about the laundry room?
No, there was nothing unusual about the laundry room. Every time I would go upstairs, it's like he would be right behind me, which is also...
When you say he, who do you mean?
I'm so sorry. Joel Michael Jr. would be right behind me, like in my... Like right behind me, because I remember doing this, like, why is he right behind me?
Okay. And did you find that odd at the time?
I did, because for 27 years, or however old he was, he stayed in his bedroom. He was never smiling, saying, let me give you something, or right behind me, ever.
Okay. So I want to ask you a little bit more about the
creepy
house.
Son of a bitch.
What do you know about your father's guns?
He has a lot of them.
Okay. And why did he have a lot of guns?
He was a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. He loved shooting. I'm joking about the conspiracy theorists. We were, and maybe it's in my head, but we're all, myself, I can shoot the bullseye with a gun. My oldest son could shoot the bullseye. We all are very good shots. And it's just, I guess we said it was the Joel guy. Like we had Joel guy in us. Even my oldest can shoot, and
Did they like to target practice? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Even bow and arrow, we could shoot the bullseye.
Okay. And did Lisa participate in the target shooting too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your father, was he moving these guns from one house to another, or were they visible when you were at the house on Thanksgiving? Did you see them?
Guns were always a part of growing up. Like, you knew they were loaded, and you knew not to touch them. And it's the same in my house. So if there were guns present, they weren't laid out. They would have been in the regular spots that they were in, and it would have been, even my kids know there's guns in my house, or our house, and there's guns in Papa's house and in Mama's house, and every single gun is loaded. You do not touch. And so we would...
Did you see any long guns on the dining room table during Thanksgiving?
No, ma'am. No.
Okay. All right. Now, do you know whether or not your father had any kind of cameras, security cameras in the house?
He always had cameras. Even when he lived in Louisiana, he had cameras in different parts of the house. And
after his death, did you have an opportunity to notice whether or not those cameras were still in the house?
On Thanksgiving, the cameras were in the house because he had a button that you could turn it on into the TV, into the living room, and see the cameras. But after Thanksgiving, the next time I was in there, and with cops asking me, I said there are cameras in the house, but there were no cameras in the house.
Okay. Now, did you know what your parents were going to do on the day after Thanksgiving? Did they discuss their future plans for you, with you?
I knew they were going to take the boat. I knew they were taking items they had packed. They were starting the packing process, so they had already moved a bed. The reason the one room to the left didn't have a bed is because they had already set up, to my understanding, a bed at the new house, and they, to my understanding, had already brought boxes, or were taking were taking boxes up there, and so that's why there was boxes in that upstairs room.
Okay. So, when was the last time you spoke to your father?
It would have been Thanksgiving night.
Did you hear from him by text or telephone after Thanksgiving?
The picture, I had texted because I wanted to post that picture of the boys and Daddy Lisa. So I had texted them for that picture, but nobody responded. And then I texted another text, and I'm not sure what the other text said, but no one was, and it was in the group text with my sister, and no one responded.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes. thought you were asking me. Yeah, sure.
This lady seems super nice.
I think there's an objection, Judge, to these being introduced as exhibits. Exhibit number 6, and ask you if you can identify this.
Yes, ma'am. That was the picture we took on Thanksgiving.
And that's the picture that we had published during the opening statement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Your entire family. And if you could just identify the people in the photograph, if you could publish. It's in
Any objection? Hearing none, you may publish.
Did that fix the audio?
It is Dad and Lisa's in the photo, and then my youngest son, Ben, is in the photo, and my middle son.
Hold on a second. We're going to get that up on the screen so the jurors can see what you're talking about.
Okay.
That is Dad.
I see it right here.
Okay. That is Dad and Lisa. Dad is on the right, and then Lisa's on the left, and then Joel Michael Jr. is next to him, and then Preston, my oldest son, is at the very top. And we color coded for holidays. At that time, kind of lost that a little bit, but you see that Ben and Baylor are in the same outfit. Ben being taller, but he stayed small for so long. Like he stayed in 8-year-old clothes. And so he looks tiny there. He's way bigger now. And then Ben is the littlest one.
Okay. And I want to show you exhibit number 7, 8, and 9. And ask you if you recognize these photographs.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. I mean, I recognize what's in the picture. I've not. These are the first time I think I've seen these.
What's in the pictures?
These are the stuff that this is the stuff. This is the stuff that Joel Michael gave the boys.
Okay. Can you look at all of those photographs just to make sure?
Yes.
Did a forensic technician come out to your house at some point and take photographs of all of you?
They came out and took photographs and swabbed all of us, and then that's when they were asking about this stuff, and then I said they have the tubs of this. The boys hadn't. I'm not sure what date it was on, but the boys had just basically brought it in the house, so we threw it.
Exhibits. So that's how they were brought into the house?
Yes, ma'am.
That would be exhibit number 9, and then the next one. No. Okay. So does this photograph depict some of the games and toys that were given? Ms. Tyler?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
And exhibit 8, does this depict the Beanie Babies that the defendant gave your sons?
Yes, ma'am.
And then exhibit 9, also just other toys that he was given.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
were given to him. Okay. Can you tell the jury a little bit about how you found out about your parents' deaths?
Say it again. Found out
about your parents' deaths.
So Monday morning came, and in our family we have this thing to where we always answer text. You don't not it's double negative, but you always answer a text, and no one had answered my text. So I had texted them, but then I came down with the stomach virus on Sunday, and so that it took me a minute to get over that, but I had to go to work on Monday. So when I got up for work on Monday, I was driving in, and I don't know when I called my sister, but I know I was on the phone with my sister that morning, and I said, are you all mad at me? Is somebody mad at me? It's not like my family, especially my dad and Lisa, they didn't have problems with Like they just made the intent to not have problems with people. They would never voice their problem with somebody. And so for them to not answer my text was really weird. And so I said, well, I told Angela I'm going to text them or wait on their response, and I'm not sure. I'm sure I texted them again or tried to call them. I believe by this point their phones were going to voicemail. And I said I'm going to go after work and check on them if they've not responded. And she said, okay, just let me know. And usually if we panicked like that, it always was, at the point, okay. And so I don't know the exact time, but about 2, Jennifer had got in touch with me through Facebook.
Jennifer Whited?
Yes, ma'am. And she had said, there's something wrong, you need to call me, and I'm not sure her exact message. And so I called her, and she said, you need to get a hold of the detectives. And so I called Detective McCord, and he said, you need to come meet me. And I was working, I can't remember, I don't think the school day was over because I said people had to get my class. I'm a teacher. And that I had to walk straight out the building, and I collected my kids, my own kids, and he said, do not go to the house. And I said, okay. And he said, meet me at the Harley Davidson place, and I met him at the Harley Davidson parking lot.
Okay, and did he tell you what had happened or what he feared had happened?
He said they didn't. He said the bodies were unidentifiable, and I said, well, if you will,
going into what he said, let me ask you this. Did you give him information about your parents' cars, the kind of cars they had?
Yes, I gave him everything. For the most part, I think I gave him everything he asked about. He was asking about, he didn't know who was there, whose body was there, which didn't make sense at the time. But
did you tell him who had been present with you on Thanksgiving?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you give him information about the defendant, about your brother? Being present on Thanksgiving?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at some point, were you able to give him descriptive information about your brother?
Yes.
Like, what do you look like?
All of them, yes.
Okay. Now, I know that must have been a difficult time for you. Is your memory sequential? I mean, do you remember everything, or are things just sort of jumbled for you?
It's a jumble. It's like most people's memories are linear. Mine's like a ball, and then there's different.
Okay.
So it's not. There's just not going to be sequential.
Is it fair to say that you were shaken by this interaction with Detective McCord?
I was, because I couldn't understand. Like I said, if you all will just let me. You can cover their face, and there's 1980s all written all over them. Like their hair was 1980s, and their, we're always in bathing suits.
Okay. So, when did you next go back to the house on Golden View?
That's the part I don't know. It was after. It wasn't any time. I don't know. I can't. I don't know the day. It would have been after we were allowed back in there, but it would have been. I don't know. Can't tell you a date. That's what the jumbled part is. There's a couple of weeks there where it was just so.
So the last time you saw your parents was on Thanksgiving, and the last time you saw your brother, Joel Michaels Jr., was on Thanksgiving.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you point to him for the jury? Were you involved in your father's estate in any way after their deaths were confirmed?
I was the executor of the executor of Dad's estate, not the executor of Lisa's.
And as part of your duties as the executor, were you made aware of financial transactions on your father's accounts that took place after November the 26th, 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the executor, did the estate receive any sort of credits on the accounts as a result of charges that were made after November the 26th, 2016?
because if it was before that date, it's not considered theft, so there's no disputing it. But since it was after the date of their death, I provided a death certificate, and there were such large amounts for utility, a large amount for a school. The only thing that we didn't get back, and it was just because someone paid on the credit card the $10,000. It was a $10,000 amount to his apartment complex, but the apartment complex refused to even.
Okay. What school were you dealing with?
LSU.
LSU?
Yes.
Okay.
To my memory.
Okay, just a second. Did your parents typically keep their dog in the laundry room, locked up?
That dog was so pampered that they would jokingly threaten him to send him to my house. Just straight up, like he had to have the water fed to him a certain way and certain ice chips, and they would never lock him in a room, ever. But that's just not how Lisa did things.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
You looked at him like, you want to do it? No, me? All right, fine.
Just a couple of questions. So, in some, you're saying Joel Michael, the person on trial today, was more outgoing and friendly that Thanksgiving than you'd seen him before?
It's not more. He was outgoing and friendly. He usually is never outgoing and friendly.
Okay.
He doesn't speak at all.
And your parents had to be out of the house by December 13th?
I am not sure on the certain date.
But sometime in that neighborhood they were moving?
Yes, sir.
So it may not have been unusual then the Friday afterwards for your dad to start collecting the guns in one place to move them?
I don't know what would be usual or unusual.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
You're right.
No.
Thanks, Tyler.
I got nothing.
Who's next?
All right, we got a good little day here today with this trial, getting through some stuff. We're going to get into some police stuff starting next week. Knox County Sheriff's Detective Stephen Ballard, who conducted the welfare check. Oh, shit. And I wonder if there's going to be some body cam footage for the guy that walked through the house and found the parents melting in a tub with some fucking crazy chemicals that this dude decided to bring to the party. What the fuck? Everybody today, thank you all so much for hanging and banging. What a great murder church. What a new opening, a great new opening to the season, to an absolutely horrific trial and a horrific story. Wow. Yeah, this one was voted on again during Feral Friday, and it's wild. Again, rest in peace, Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy, the parents of this absolute fucking monster, whose lives were shortened because this greedy prick thought he was going to get $500,000. This slob, what was he going to do with $500,000? Nothing. That would have been gone in less than 2 years. Almost guarantee it, man. Piece of
Son
shit.
of a bitch!
So, yeah, everyone hanging today, I really freaking appreciate it.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
Later today, Jessica for Justice is going to be going live on Kick. Make sure you check her out. I think she is still going to be streaming Love After Lockup. There is her link. If you're not on Kick, you want to get on Kick for multiple reasons. Not only for Jessica, but for us here at Publicly Buzzed, and also for Jay. He streams every single day, his normal stream, even on Kick, plus YouTube, plus Facebook, plus Twitch. But Kick rules. Feral Fridays, we've been having a lot of fun over there. This weekly, that's become a weekly thing for us. And then randomly on a Tuesday, this past Tuesday, I found a documentary I wanted to watch. Can't do that here on YouTube, so I decided to do that on Kick. So please go to Kick, whether that's through that link right there once you get to the website. After you follow Jessica for Justice, follow Publicly Buzzed, follow Jay, The Shaming of Jay. If you're getting that on your phone, whether that's Android or iPhone, just go to the App Store, super easy. Pop it in, Kick, bam, should pop right up. And then search all the names I just said. Thank you guys so fucking much. It's been an awesome day, seriously. Yeah, craziness. Got some bells here at the end, too. Extra bells today. Extra bells. You know, I don't give a lot of extra bells, but today...
Well, let me tell you something, brother!
I'm giving some extra bells. It really was. This was a good one. This one's interesting. Yeah. This is going to go, what are we on? Episode or number 5 of the video, and there are 29. So this is going to go for a few weeks, I'd imagine here. It's definitely not going to be as long as Dahmer. Dahmer was insanely long. There was like 60 some parts, and they weren't very long. And then Kevorkian wasn't that long. You know, Kevorkian had a lot of breaks in between, but it was fairly fast as well. And I know Viv, and make sure you're following up with Viv also. Oh, Viv would love them bells. She gets in here for them bells, baby. All right, in the morning, actually, before you go anywheres, let me see if I can send you to a J stream. Let's see if my man has one set up here. Let's see, checking. Yes, he does. In the morning, he will be back on the Crumbly trial. Yeah, day 3, doing a dual stream, it looks like, with our homie Defense Diaries, Bob Mata, Ali Mata, the homies, I should say. Oh, thank you, Sherry Smith. Thanks all new people that's come through here also. If you are new here, please subscribe. If you're just lurking, we love lurkers also. Thank you guys so much. Super appreciate it. All the mods today, thank you all so much. Again, trigger warnings all over a murder church especially, but any content really that this community is bringing. It's a true crime community, so it gets pretty barbaric. This one in particular is gruesome, so who knows what we might see during this. But I'm going to get out of here. Have a great Sunday. I will see you Tuesday night, 9 p.m., whether that's on Kick or YouTube. I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens. Everyone have a great rest of your day. I got to go do a little bit of shopping. And, yeah, keep your eyes out on the socials, on Twitter, on everything. I'm going to keep coming, baby. I'll see you in the morning in the chats with Jay. Love you guys. Let's get the hell out of here.